So, where we left off in the last session, the party had basically gone in random directions, trying to catch up on what had happened in Waterdeep and try to basically figure out what's the first step towards fixing the problem. The city is devolving into civil war, with Ygorl and Voranatar basically going batshit crazy after the death of his son, and Jarlaxle apparently just further escalating the situation due to attacks on Javin Tarmakos, attacks on barracks, our guard barracks used by the city, as well as just criminal activity sharply rising ever since the party left. Where we pick up with is with Catal and Kriv in the House of Wonder.
Yeah.
As it is, Kriv, you had not formally introduced yourself to Catal, and vice versa. You were kind of zoned out during the whole adventure in Candlekeep. You were kind of stuck, hanging alongside Laeral and Arnax elsewhere in the city.
Okay.
All kind of cocks his head, blinks his large teal eyes at you, and kind of looks you up and down. Ringing through your mind is a voice. He doesn't speak out loud, speak into your mind. Odd. I don't think I've felt any mental presence from you up to this point.
Hey, that's hurtful. Wait, how are you in my head?
I am in everyone's head.
Wait, can you see my thoughts?
The ones you make present.
Say no. Okay, good.
No.
Oh, well. Is that honest? So the ones
No.
Okay.
As this conversation is going on, you see Valeria walking her way up the stairs into the front entrance of the House of Wonder. This massive temple. It's late at night, as it is. Rain is starting to pour as she makes her way inside. Valeria?
I'll go over to Kriv and Catal and be like, do you know where the others are?
No clue.
I'm currently unaware of their location.
It's very important that I get everyone together.
I can send out a messenger to gather them.
That would be most helpful, thank you.
Catal walks over to the window and holds out his arm. Before too long, an owl alights onto it. He seems to kind of whisper to it in his weird insectile language, as clacks and chitters before it flies off.
Meanwhile, a group of about 5 paladins are running through the street, trying their best not to smash into carts and passers-by as they go along. The city is less populated than it was when the party first left Waterdeep, but it is still not empty by any means. And so Xanth, you and the Order of the Gilded Eye Paladins kind of have to swerve around in order to not hit anyone, which would slow you down on your way to the Underdark Tavern.
Do I need to roll athletics or acrobatics or anything for this?
Not a problem. Just be aware
Okay.
of that as you're moving along.
Okay.
Mr. Dusk.
Yes.
Where exactly are you in the tavern? Are you in the basement, or are you on the first floor.
Where did we say he was? He was
At the
kind of
very
like...
end, you were in the basement.
Okay,
Last
so
I checked in with you.
Okay, so I would have gone up to sort of upstairs to the first floor, kind of sent the message, and then gone back down to the basement. I would have been doing the checks on the body in the basement.
Understood.
Or trying to, at least.
As rain pours outside, you manage to make it, Xanth. You, Quera, and the other members of the Order of the Gilded Eye that are with you make it to the Underdark Tavern. There is a chill in the air as you see the tavern is mostly empty, but the doors are wide open. You head on inside?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Xanth would probably not stop until he sees Arnax.
Understood. As you make your way towards the basement, and you remember where to go, back in session 2, Lilton Dradden led the party down that same passageway into the basement, which led to a staircase going down to Skullport. You know where to go. As you make it to the staircase, you notice bits of the wood on the floor. Just bits of the floorboards are jutted upwards, like pushed outwards. As you see something very large below in the basement. Something golden and scaly. Laid out on its back. The body so large, it's somewhat pushing through the floorboards. Immediately upon seeing the body, Quera immediately rushes down into the basement as Mr. Dusk.
Yeah.
You see what looks to be Xanth, as well as that same woman from before with almost red hair and silver and gold plate armor rushing down the steps. As you, Xanth, you see the image of the Shadar Kai standing over the belly of Arnax.
Well, I expected
What
to
do
see
you
him
do?
there because he's the one that sent me. I mean, I assume Xanth assumed the message came from him.
Yes.
With it being a raven and whatnot. So,
Absolutely.
Xanth would mostly just be very. He's waiting to see if Queria can save Arnax before he really reacts much. So he's pretty much just standing there waiting to see what happens.
I will say to Queria, I can't say that damn name. Unfortunately, it is too late. I have expected the body and see no wounds. I believe it to be poison. I need all of you to help me to turn him over to see if there's any wounds on his back. If we are to find who done this.
Sorry. As he kind of looks over. Poison? You believe poison had done that?
Wait, what do you mean there's no saving him? Are we not even going to try anything?
I was going to make sure that I checked before we made any conclusions.
Xanth. I'm sorry.
We have to try. We have to try.
Very well.
As she calls down the paladins that were able to come with her, about 4 strong, coming down the stairs. You said you feared there may be wounds on his back.
Yes.
If
I can't see any on the front, on his body.
If there is anything to work with, then we may have to try to heal the wounds on the back. You said he was poisoned. Do you believe that that is poisoned via ingestion? Perhaps he had gobbled poison or drank it?
I do not know. I am not 100% medically trained, but
Alright.
it would be my assumption.
All of you now. Try to tip the dragon over immediately. We
And
need to see what kind of damage it's done.
I will try for whatever strength I've got to help, but I would not be much use.
Xanth is definitely helping.
Understood. With the 7 of you that are trying to push over the dragon, I will give Mr. Dusk and Xanth both advantage on a athletics check.
I'm going to guidance Xanth. I'm going to touch him and say, "Blessing the Raven Queen for you."
That's a 14 with the. Oh wait, I have to roll the d4, right?
Yeah.
It's gonna be bad. Wait,
Yeah,
it is a 14.
8.
I rolled a 4.
8 for me.
14 total for you, Xanth.
Correct. That was 2 8s.
And I got an
As
8.
it is, the collection of you push the body as hard as you can. Push and push and push. And you do start to push it upwards. You can see at the very bottom of the back little bits of steel poking into the flesh. But the body immediately collapses back down again, unable to move.
I sort of dropped to a knee, like sort of like heavy breathe. You can hear like the heavy breathing in my mask because I'm not used to that sort of heavy lifting. Saw some steel at the base of its back.
You see Quera attempting to try and cast a certain spell. While she's casting it from her hand, you can identify this as the same spell that, air quotes, Lord Umbren used back in Session 3 on Apollo, Revivify. She's trying to bring him back the hard way. But even as the light strikes the body, it does nothing. Revivify spell fails.
And Xanth is just like looking on and glancing at Arnax and then glancing at Query and then glancing at Arnax. It's just like, and he's got this incredulous look on his face, like he can't believe this is happening.
You can even notice as she tries the spell multiple times, a look of anger and frustration on her face. For whatever reason, she does not want this. She does not want Arnax dead. She wants him to survive. And yet, the spell just isn't working.
I'm going to. As Xanth is kind of got that worried parent look on his sort of face, sort of glancing, hoping to sort of that, probably even having a little prayer in his mouth. I'm just going to kind of console him a little bit by placing my hand on his shoulder. It's like a bit of support. Not say anything, but just do that.
I don't even think Xanth notices. He's so focused on
probably not.
Arnax.
No. Yeah. Okay.
He looks to Query. He says, "Is there nothing to be done? Is this it?"
The problem is that in days past, there would have been far more. We would have been able to use Raise the Dead. I would have been able to get a cleric here who could cast Resurrection, or True Resurrection, if things had gone too far for his body to be accessible. But after what happened with Alambor and Mistra, the whole resurrection process has been completely obliterated. All the spells, such as Raise Death, Resurrection, True Resurrection, none of them work anymore. This is the best that I'm able to do. And it doesn't seem to be working.
Is there anyone else in the city? Anything?
Unfortunately,
Then the most they would be able to do is cast Revivify, like I've been doing. Hang on, let me see if I can cast Greater Restoration, and then Revivify. That might be what I'm screwing up here.
I'm gonna place my hand on Aquera. Say, "May I Allow the Raven Queen to guide you. I'll cast guidance on her just in case there's any sort of check to be done.
Understood. As she casts the great radiance of greater restoration, curing some of the poisonous effects on the body, but as she attempts to cast Revivify again, it still does nothing. He's not waking up.
You can imagine, like, if you have somebody, in this day and age that has had a cardiac arrest or something, and then someone's, pumping on their chest, and they're doing it, and they're doing it, and they're doing it, and, like, eventually they slow, and then eventually they stop. And any onlooker that's watching, as this process kind of comes to a close, they just sort of get this look on their face as the reality sets in of what's actually happening, and that's what's happening to Xanth right now. He takes a step back, and he says, Ahmet has abandoned us. And but he's not crying like you normally expect him to. He does. It's just outrage. It's just shock. It's not anger. It's not remorse. It's not sadness. It's just absolute disbelief. You see him.
Yeah.
You see him look at his shield with the symbol of Bahamut on it, and he just throws it to the ground.
Xanth, I am truly sorry.
He looks at you and just has this very strange look on his face. You don't know him very well, so you probably wouldn't know what that is. And he says, "Who did this?"
I do not know. I did not see.
Oh, something metal under the body. You hear one of the paladins pipe up. I couldn't tell exactly what it was, but it looked extremely thin. Too thin to be a regular sword.
Rapier?
Maybe. Can we try pushing up the body again?
Certainly. Xanth.
As Xanth
Please.
jumps in.
Guidance, Xanth, again.
Jesus
How does
Christ.
this happen?
Xanth is useless.
Jesus, boy. Let's see what I get. Oh! 17!
17.
Rolled it.
You're able to see more of the body, more of the undercarriage as you push over, but still aren't able to turn it over on its side. The problem you run into is that while you are able to see more of essentially this thin ball connected to a tiny needle pushing into the flesh of the gold dragon, you aren't able to see it particularly clearly. As you can see, Coera is just fuming, which doesn't seem quite right for the situation.
Oh,
First, the plan gets hijacked. Then, the Pirate King goes mad. Then the Open Lord goes mad. Then our greatest potential asset is murdered randomly. Yes, I think the gods have chosen to abandon us in this moment.
I feel this was not random, but part of a plan. Whose plan I cannot say.
I see.
Xanth steps.
Wonderful.
Xanth steps back and immediately and the shield's still on the ground. He immediately starts walking up the stairs, away from the scene.
I will pick up the shield for Xanth, and I'll follow him.
And he's got the insignia of Bahamut on his cloak as well. And as he's going up the steps, he rips the cloak from his shoulders and just drops it behind him as he's going on.
So I kind of walk up behind and see you rip off the cloak. I just mutter to myself, Raven Queen, help this man.
Hold. Where exactly are you going?
I'm going to follow my new companion. Do not I do not believe he should be left alone right now. He has suffered great losses and is stricken with grief lately. I just wish to console him in his time of need.
I see.
If you need me for more answers, I will be in the House of Wonder
Understood.
the next days.
I'll
Thank
leave
you.
you to it then.
Thank you.
That was
I will
Queria.
go
That was
for-
Queria talking, Noah. Okay,
Yes.
Okay. Just making sure I know what's going on.
Yep.
Just so you know, Xanth is heading towards the House of Wonder.
Understood.
I'll be following.
As you do so, Katal, what was the message that you were trying to send? Katal?
Oops, sorry, I was muted. Just return to the House of Wonders. You are needed.
Fair enough.
Can we
Read
reply
exactly
to it?
that message as you're on your way. You can't really reply to an animal messenger.
Can with my own. Raven's still around.
No, that's a good point.
I'll send back, say, something has happened to... Not good. Xanth is devastated. That's what you'll get back from a raven that comes to you, Fad, Katal.
Paul kind of stares off in the distance for a moment after hearing this message, not really knowing how to respond. He just kind of turns blankly to his two companions there, and lets them know there's something grave has happened. Xanth is greatly affected.
Valeria's like, great!
Valeria. I'll take a deep breath and just be like, okay, I don't know, alcohol.
I just got
Cocks his head at Valeria. It's like, have you found alcohol to be helpful in most emotional situations?
Sometimes let's just say an old friend, I understand why he drinks so much.
That's me.
Oh,
That's Mr.
nods
Frost.
his head vigorously as he pulls out his book and he's starting to make notes.
Oh gosh, I'm teaching this guy all the wrong things.
That's just our way.
Soon enough, Xanth makes it back to the house. Yeah. Xanth eventually makes it back to the House of Wonder, followed closely by Mr. Dusk holding his shield. You see Xanth trudging along the steps into the House of Wonder, a shocked and appalled expression on his face.
As Xanth
What
approaches Valeria, he looks at her in the eyes, and the look on his face is similar to the look that you saw when you guys walked into the Well of Dragons.
Okay.
Says, Renax is slain.
She'll take a deep breath and she'll just reach up and put her hands on his shoulders.
He's
and be
he's pacing, so there's no like he's just pacing.
well, she's gonna follow him by pacing and be like, okay, we just have to calm down. I understand the anger, but we can't blow up and explode. I found out some things that I don't know if are tied to this, but tied to bigger things. But I'm going to need you to calm down, Xanth, please. And she's begging.
Miss Valeria, what did you find out?
Yeah, Xanth is definitely still pacing.
Okay, at this point she stopped following him in the pacing and she's gonna turn to Mr. Dusk. Well, I am about 99.99% sure now that the Jarlaxle that is causing all this chaos is the freaking Ziralekrunim, the snow people. He got into a huge fight before we left, and he has not healed his wounds. And she's very frantic in this because, she's also still taking in RNX being dead. Upon meeting with my contact, we ended up dealing with another one of those snow people, and being one of the drow that you guys had an altercation with Apollo a while back, when you all blew up again. He was also one of those. Oh gosh. And my contact would like us to hopefully maybe subdue Jarlaxle, whether he's real or not at this point, to help try to stop the chaos in the city.
Question for you, Miss Valeria. Was there any mention of a silver ring?
It did not come up into conversation, but we have dealt with the silver ring before.
This is why I ask. I've been Ornax earlier in the day. May he rest in peace. Updated me on everything that has happened so far, so I am up to speed on the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Hence why I am up.
By the way,
Mr.
Catal,
Doc?
if I may, before you mention, Catal,
Yes.
you mentioned, does Catal know the limitations of simulacrum? Given
Yeah.
what you have learned, chances are, you know what? Make an Arcana check.
Advantage
Woo.
because he's like lived his whole life in a magic city.
Well, not his whole
that's a
life.
26.
Oh well, there you go.
That's a 26. Yeah.
Come
One
on.
of the limitations of the spell. As it is, originally the spell had a very particular limitation to it, which was that you could only create one simulacrum at a time. Problem is that a very powerful wizard / lich once used that spell to basically create infinite clones of himself. As one clone, he created one clone, that clone created a clone, that clone created a clone of him, etc., going on and on and on. So the spell was changed so that you could have as many simulacrums as you wanted if you had the spell slots for it, but it could only be of a single person. So you could never have a clone create a copy of somebody who was already cloned. However, there are other limitations to the spell more specifically, such as the fact that a simulacrum cannot heal from normal wounds, not without alchemical ingredients that are very expensive to make. They cannot level up like any normal creature can. They have half the maximum hit points that the original creature has, so they're far weaker.
Do I know that they don't restore their spell slots?
Yes, you know that they do not restore their spell slots, and normally they also don't restore their expended abilities like action surge or or key points if they're among things like that.
Right. If I, upon hearing this, we'll kind of turn to the group and inform them of, what I know of Simulacrum. If this is a foe you have fought before, they bound to be easier with every encounter as they spend more and more resources. This is very difficult for them to heal as well.
If this is the one that fought the Gilded Eye, then he is extremely exhausted of all his abilities and powers.
My contacts mentioned that he's basically on death's door.
They narrowed down where his location could be.
Funny enough, they
Go for it.
did, Valeria. Specifically, your contact mentioned that Jarlaxle was often seen in his flagship in Skullport, known as the Eye Catcher.
Okay.
That's where all the important stuff that he has stored away that was relevant to that conversation is being kept.
And I'll share that with them. The plan is to and she gave me a
The
date
night of December 31st.
at about 11 p.m. to smuggle us all in.
What day is it now?
It is currently the night of December 29th.
I will immediately dismiss my raven and turn him back into a statue. It takes 2 days to charge up, so it'll be ready for the 31st.
There's some other things that I've discovered. A man that was sent to be under Jarlaxle's care, who was tortured by the Gilded Eye and might have some information, is not being taken care of. In fact, under Jarlaxle's orders, a mage is using Mind Sliver and making any sense of recovery even worse. It's as if Jarlaxle learned something that might compromise him as well.
And
My
Mind Sliver, I can use that spell myself.
as can I, and it can mess people up, especially when they're already. This man's already been tortured. He was possessed by a ghost before he came to be Lord Umbren's apprentice, which I'll get to that point in a moment. But he might have a key to pretty much a lot of what's going on.
We would need a cleric with greater restoration, I think, in order to...
They mentioned being able to have something to give to perhaps, and then she's going to glance over to Katal, mentioning a spell scroll that you might be able to use that would be helpful.
Oh yes, I would love to assist in this, especially if it is a spell I have not seen before.
It is also should we note that he was going by the name of Liam Tuskwall. It is believed that his name is Telvin Solus. He's a wealthy noble and a former bard adventurer, and I'm just going to throw it out there. My dad. Well, just so that's out there already. After I met with my contact, I
You
ended
are
up
sweating. Is this on purpose?
a little bit. It's been a night, as she kind of like also points to Xanth pacing.
I'm sorry your father is going through such situations, Miss Valeria.
It kind of is what it is. We'll deal with the daddy issues later. But after I met with my contact, I had questions, and I immediately went to go see Lord Umbren. And this is where I learned a little bit about the Sirlacronums, as Katal added. But also, I think we need his help, and there's a way to set him free if 5 out of the 9 masked lords vote for his freedom. Unfortunately, 4 are in Godalt's pocket, and 5 of them, but there are still 5 remaining. 3 of them will probably be the easiest to get, and that is, which he's already mentioned as allies, the Durgar,
Artebrent, Mert the
Durin.
Moneylender, and Durnan.
Durnan.
The next would be Almendron, which might be slightly hard, but but considering his hatred for Degalt and Javin, he'd probably just vote just to be like, fuck you. The last and final vote is Lilton Dronand.
Lilton Dradden.
Dradden, yeah. And he will be the toughest to convince, but he gave me some things that might be able to help convince him. Trying to going over my notes again. And there's a chance if Jarlaxle is being puppeted and is one of the snow people, which at this point I'm convinced no one in Waterdeep is real, is that maybe Degalt might also be puppeted. And there also might be a chance that Garlac is working with the Gilded Eye. And at this point, she's just gonna sit down and grab the drink that she has prepared for Xanth.
She meant Garak, right?
Golrak, yeah, sorry.
The Dragon King
Lots of
Garak.
names.
Yeah. Okay, just making sure we're on the same page. Okay, so as she finishes her, I picture it like, like verbal diarrhea, and then just takes a deep breath when she finally gets it all out. Anth stops. He stops pacing, and he said, he spins on his heels towards Mr. Dusk and says, "How is it that you were there?"
I went looking for him, as I said in the message to you. I went looking for him on some advice on how to understand our relationship between us two, and to make things better between us two. As I feel we haven't got off to the best of start, Xanth. I really wish to change that.
Who told you that he was there? How did you come to be in the Underdark?
It's hard to explain, but I saw a trace of essence. I followed 2 traces of essence, one belonging to a dwarf, which I knew was Oranax's disguise, and the other of someone in heavy armor, both leading to there. So the assailant was following, or with, Oranax when it happened, and I was led to there where I discovered his body.
Xanth glances over at Kriv. What's Kriv doing?
I'm just kind of my head's down, just shocked that he's dead.
Xanth looks back to Mr. Dusk and says, "We will find his killer. If you have abilities to speak to the dead, can you speak to him and find out who did this, who he was with?"
Unfortunately, it's much more complicated than that. The abilities I have, the one I use to greet you, I do not control which spirits speak. They just message for me. I do not have the ability to raise the dead. At this point, I'm not even sure if I'm alive myself.
You can tell that Xanth is not in a place where he's ready to wait to do anything. And a 2-day wait to do whatever this next mission is not in his vocabulary at the moment.
To be fair, it does sound like Valeria has presented another mission in the meantime, which may be an option.
Convincing the the mass lords to set
that's another
Lord
thing
Umbren
Xanth's
free.
not going to be good at. Hey, the shield with the dragon on it, Noah, when you gave the shield to me, you told me that it had the dragon on there, but you didn't really say how. Is it painted on? Okay.
It's painted on. Specifically, the image of a platinum dragon is painted onto the shield, albeit a bit weird and messy. It doesn't look quite right, but again, Lord Umbren isn't exactly the most fanatic follower.
So this was like finger painting time, arts and crafts time with Umbren.
Well, not necessarily finger painting, but you can tell that the depiction of Bahamut is a tad off compared to the normal depictions you would get in, say, the Platinum Cadre and other art made by actual metallic dragons.
When he glances over and sees that Mr. Dusk has brought his shield, he reaches his hand out towards the shield. He takes the shield and pulls out his sword, and just in the loudest, clangiest, scratchiest nails against chalkboard, he swipes the shield with the sword, intending to damage the paint. Sparks fly everywhere.
Valeria's gonna ask Xanth, "What are you doing?"
He looks to see how much damage he did with the first swing.
Roll an attack roll.
Great, now we're gonna fight a shield.
Well, we fought a sword last
Team,
week.
am I rolling to hit or am I
going
just
on?
rolling damage?
He's attacking his own shield.
That's it.
Attacking to
Team.
hit, basically. How? Alright,
6
fine,
points
roll
of damage.
Yeah, you scratch the shield with your sword as you cut into it.
Okay,
just
so
a bit.
it hasn't lost its ability to protect. It's just jacked up as far as the look, right?
No. The appearance is changed,
Yeah.
damaged, making the already off picture of Bahamut look even more distorted.
Xanth looks at it, seems satisfied with what he's done, puts his weapon in his sheath, looks at Valeria and says, "Where to?"
Well, it's rather late at night, right?
Yes.
We should probably get some rest. And as you can tell, she's like exhausted and partially a little bit covered in blood.
Have you been in a fight,
As this is
Valeria?
happening,
Yeah, the dude we were ambushed, and that's when I learned about the snowman man.
Who ambushed you?
The dude's name is Krebiki
Rebig Mascalier,
Mascalier. He was one
the
of
gunslingers in Jarlaxle's command. Specifically, one of the 3 gunslingers that the party had met back in session 3 that got caught in the explosion.
along with a Sevalier laugh, which I don't think we've met before.
No. He was more just a tag along.
Yeah. And oh yes, speaking of him, apparently Krebby, I'm just gonna call him that. Krebig. He was the one that sold out Jarlaxle for, I guess, a really good friend who ended up dead anyways. That was some more information that came about.
As this is going on, Xanth, you get a message from Coera. We found something. Would you like us to come to the House of Wonder, or will you come to us?
This is something I can respond to.
Yes.
I will respond. Are you? Oh well. Will she be able to respond back to me? If I say like, "Where are you?"
It's probably a sending spell, in which case it would be a 1 send, 1
Okay.
reply.
I'll just say we're at the House of Wonder, since I don't know where she's at.
Alright.
Music is awesome, by
In
the way.
that case, the party is heading on, or the party is, is there anything the party is doing in the House of Wonder as this is going on?
I'm just gonna be kind of. I don't need to sleep as long as the others, and I don't really sleep per se. I'm just gonna wait until like 4 hours have passed, sort of thing. But just kind of keeping an eye out on the House of Wonder after all of tonight's events and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
So are the rest of us staying in for the night? Is that the general idea?
That's going to be the plan for Valeria. She's going to write a letter, and send it out later on.
So Xanth will absolutely let the party know that Coera is coming.
Upon hearing that, I will wait because essentially I was there. So
Absolutely.
We'll rest after.
And as context, Valeria, Coera is the leader of the Order of the Gilded Eye. Like, Javin Tarmakos is the regional representative. She is in charge of the whole damn order.
And the one that we're assuming that talked to the quote-unquote agent angel is what Solaire
Yes.
told us.
Yeah, she definitely seems to be
Exactly.
the only one that has actually spoken to the Zeshaks.
Yeah.
Xanth hasn't had time to talk to anybody about this, so this might seem a little odd that he has the Gilded Eye folks coming, given the fact that we know they're basically not altogether good.
Right. It's definitely a cold open kind of moment, but eventually they do arrive. Coera, along with Javan Tarmakos, Solaire, and about 4 other paladins. As they enter the House of Wonder, Dusk will probably be the first one to meet them, unless
Yeah,
of course,
Xanth would
Xanth is
definitely be
front
out
along
waiting
with
for
it.
them to arrive.
Wonderful. In that case, it is the 3
You
of
said
them,
Javan was
along
there
with those
also?
4 extras. Javan Tarmakos, Guerra,
Yeah, just
Solaire,
making sure.
4 other paladins. So, as they come up the stairs, Guerra simply asks, "If I may, would you be willing to bring your entire crew with you? I would like to speak to them personally. I haven't had the opportunity as of now.
Yeah,
This
Xanth
seems as good
pokes
a
his
time
head
as any."
into the temple to the room where they're at and says that the Gilded Eye has arrived. She requests the entire group.
Valeria will come out.
Yeah, Criff will come out too.
So, Gatal?
Yes, this is wonderful. Usually the knights are not this active, but I would love to join my new friends.
You see Quera say, "Now, before I start, I want to say that this is a holy place. I respect that, and as a result, this is not an interrogation. I'm simply here to provide to you what I have learned. So, as I'm sure a number of you, if not all of you, already know, Arnax is dead. Murdered in cold blood. After a bit of studying of the body, we discovered that he was poisoned, though not by the means that we had originally thought. Under the body, we managed to finally push it over and found what looked to be poisoned caltrops. We noticed that the caltrops had been poisoned with a specific type known as purple worm poison. Now, I want to make something very clear. Purple worm poison is the most expensive and most dangerous variety of poison that most criminal organizations can get their hands on. And there was enough poison there to be worth thousands and thousands of gold. This was not an accident. And this was not a spur of the moment decision. That much we know. This was premeditated murder, planned long in advance.
Caltrops seem an unusual form of poisoning. Complement to poison.
What evidence has pushed you to that conclusion, besides the poison?
Well, simply due to the fact that the poison is impossible to easily get your hands on. The most...
Wouldn't just throw it away if it's thousands of dollars worth of it.
No, they certainly wouldn't throw it away. But I wouldn't call killing an adult gold dragon throwing it away. especially not if it was part of a larger scheme.
Xanth he's not pacing now, but he's definitely sort of swaying, let's call it that. Like he's stewing, brewing.
Do you know of anyone who uses caltrops, or that has used caltrops
And
in the
then
past?
and then Xanth
I
Any opponent that you may have
Griv.
faced in your travels?
I used caltrops in the past. I don't think I have them anymore though.
I see.
Aren't they pretty easy to buy though?
I suppose they would be pretty easy to buy. As it is, though, caltrops are quite an unusual choice
I
as a
agree.
poisoning weapon.
We normally use
Normally
a
they would do
dagger
it
or
through,
yes.
yes, or bow and arrow.
Does anyone know why Arnax was there at all?
From what we were able to tell, the problem with Arnax's murder is that the dragon was on his back. In order for him to have been in the Underdark Inn, which he has no connection to himself, he would have had to have gone there of his own free will. From what we were able to tell, there was also a level of dust blown away as he crashed into the ground, seemingly on his back. Even that amount of poison, which was enough to kill a dragon, shouldn't have been able to kill Arnax normally. The problem is that we suspect it was originally in dwarf form to get into the tavern. However, due to the poison, which was able to seep into him much more cleanly as a dwarf, he was able to do so effectively and cleanly. Poison seeped into him. He transformed back into a dragon due to the damage of the poison, and then the damage from that poison carried over to the body, which was no longer capable of resisting it. What's odd to me is that I noticed there were a number of footprints on the stairs just a bit above, like at the very top. Specifically, those footprints were turned facing the entrance of the bar, away from the stairs, as if he was turned behind the stairs towards an unknown attacker, who, from what we can gather, pushed him down the stairs onto the caltrops. Because otherwise he would have had to step in the caltrops like a fool. But if he had done that, he would be laying on his front, not on his back.
I would also say the way I found Arnax was I managed to find a trace of his, well, this way to put it is an essence of sorts. He was with someone walking towards that place, someone who wears heavy armor.
As Jabin pipes up, well, at the very least, I know that's none of mine.
Xanth looks at Javin and then kind of looks over at Mr. Dusk and says, "Yes, and the drow, they don't wear heavy armor either."
No, they are more of the studded leather kind. I look back at Zamp. Even though you can't see my face, you could probably suggest what I'm...
Xanth looks at Coria and says, "There seems to be a lot of these snowmen, these copies, these false people in this city. How do we detect them? How do we find them? We must destroy them all."
There's actually a very simple way of detecting one. You see, we paladins have an ability known as divine sense. One that allows us to detect an undead or a fiend or anything of the sort within about 30 feet of us.
Xanth uses divine sense right now. anything?
It picks up nothing.
And so you see him close his eyes for a moment and then open them again and says, "Well, there are none here, so that's a start."
Yes, as it is, you can certainly trust the fact that none of my paladins have any knowledge of the spell Simulacrum or know how to use it.
Yeah, question for you. Even though
Yeah.
even though technically I'm not undead, but my backstory and my patron being,
It would probably. It might be called that. It might. I was thinking about that.
would it give
As
like
it
a
is-
little sort of like a glitchy signal per se?
I would say that you may be detected as undead. You may be detected as undead.
I would say that,
At the very least, a weird in between.
yeah, I would say weird.
But considering the fact that your life was actually saved, just changed a bit, it's also possible that you would still count as a humanoid.
Yeah. If you pick up any odd sensations of something between or not quite clear, I believe that would be me. I do apologize for disrupting.
Zant doesn't really seem to acknowledge that. He looks at Queria. Is there a way that we can scour the town with this? Spread out, put paladins in groups with others, and find these fiends that have been doing all these things. We know that they've copied so many in the city that who knows who's real and who's false. We've got to find them. We've got to end them.
I agree. However, with everything that has happened in the city, we simply do not have enough men or paladins to scour the entire city for threats we cannot see. You've already told me about the kobold's plans, how it has invaded this city. You even told me about how he intends to work with the Blood King, how the goblins and the kobolds may be conspiring together. I want you to understand that it's not a threat that we can fight in this current form. The Open Lord may be interested in taking the fight to the Drow, despite the cost, but I am not.
May I say?
Listen very closely.
Sorry.
I want my order out of the city before that assault on Skullport happens. If I had the option to, I would suggest that attack not happen in the first place.
I would like that not to happen either, as my mission here is to save the Drow from whatever nefarious plot it is that they have been
Now
caught
Zant
into.
is pacing again.
The problem that we have is that the Open Lord has gone off script. The death of his son has driven him to a point where he's willing to go after Jarlaxle and destroy the Drow no matter whatever it costs. Whatever it costs him, whatever it costs the city of Waterdeep, Neverwinter, or what it costs us. We have already checked, before you say it, and from what we are able to tell, he is not undead. He is not a simulacrum, he is not an aberration, nothing of the sort. The man is simply consumed by his grief.
What of Jarlaxle? Have you tried it with him?
We haven't gotten the opportunity to meet Jarlaxle in person. As you could imagine, he seems unwilling to give us the light of day. We haven't been able to schedule a proper conversation with him, for whatever reason. As she kind of turns her face towards Javin. No, we have not.
It would appear that our group and your group are the only ones who are willing to do what it is to stop this madness. For the best,
I agree.
the betterment of both sides.
As it stands, what I intend to do is pull my men out of the city of Waterdeep, return to Neverwinter, gather as many forces as possible from Neverwinter, secure the borders to ensure that the goblins cannot invade from the north, while the kobolds attack from the south, and then, when we feel confident in our forces, in perhaps 3 weeks or so, maybe a month at most, we return and uproot this simulacrum threat once and for all.
You are not concerned about what'll happen if you leave?
In that time you are gone.
Nobody's doing anything right now.
We do not have options.
Santh, I know you are hurting.
If we stay here and we run round blindly, checking every shopkeeper, every lord, and every random noble we can find, not only will we piss off the city far more than we need to, we will accomplish nothing, while also setting ourselves up for assassination by dividing ourselves. We need more forces in order to deal with this threat, especially with the numbers that that Solaire reported from the Well of Dragons. There are too many kobolds in Arm, and there are far too many goblins in the north. We cannot deal
Xanth
with
sort
both.
of mutters a pincer move. Attack us from the north and the south.
Specifically, the fear is that the goblins will come at Neverwinter from the north, while the goblins will attack Waterdeep from the south. If that is the case, then Neverwinter's forces will be heavily divided, and the goblins may overwhelm us, at least in Helm's Hold, causing our position, the Gilded Eye's position, to be completely eradicated. Cannot afford that. I'm sorry.
He nods his head silently.
Said, we can operate with what we do know and try to go after certain targets before we leave. I myself intend to leave by tomorrow morning. But Javin, here, will have orders to specifically deal with whoever we think may be a likely suspect for being a simulacrum. For example, you believe that Jarlaxle may be... There is a possibility that Jarlaxle, given his sudden madness, is a simulacrum. He may have become one, or been replaced with one, given the time. Especially if random individuals in the city could be replaced with a simulacrum, which... difficult to say who. But if Jarlaxle has been replaced with a simulacrum, who knows? Any of the Mask Lords could theoretically be replaced with a simulacrum. But the problem is that checking them for that would be a difficult thing to do. In the sense that it may cause more of a divide within the city than we need. Besides, if we are able to confirm that one of them is a simulacrum, dealing with them politically will be a nightmare, as it will inevitably be
What about
seen
Lord
as a grab
Umbren?
for power.
Have you concluded your investigation?
We have been trying to finish up our investigation. Again, if we were able to interrogate Lord Umbren personally in his tower, we'd be able to confirm. If we were able to get into his hidden sanctum in the Kolat Towers, we would be able to confirm. We are not able to do either of these things.
So he will remain with the Blackstaff.
He will remain in his cell until we are able
So
to
that
prove
might
his
be
innocence.
a safe place for him, since they've already tried to kill him once.
Yes, I've heard about that. Means the people in his organization are turning on him. Now that the power of fear is no longer with the gnome. His minions have decided they don't need him anymore.
Let us ask the question.
Wonderful.
Let us ask this question, though. What would be their next point to intensify this already intense situation? The death of Oranax certainly is a blow to us as allies. But what would perpetuate more chaos and fear? What target next would cause more chaos and strife?
There are two possibilities that I can think of personally. The death of a member of the Order of the Gilded Eye, or the death of a masked lord. As she kind of ponders that idea for a moment.
Perhaps that's what they were trying to do with Lord Umbren. 2 birds with 1 stone, per se.
Perhaps. As it is, we weren't given any details on the attack by the Black Staff, so we can't be entirely sure. For whatever reason, the Black Staff refuses to trust us with that information. Think she might be replaced with the simulacrum too?
My friend Samphir can find out.
Well,
He is a paladin.
it is a possibility.
Xanth nods.
Right. It is a possibility.
Yes. Well, we appreciate that you are looking into Arnax's murder so fervently. Nobody wants to find his killer more than I.
Which reminds me. May I take one of your own for questioning?
Did Javin say that?
That was Javin. That was Javin. With a very stern look on his face.
Who do you want to take?
I kind of step forward. My hands out.
Not you.
Oh, let me guess. It
You
must be
are not the one I
Kriv.
want
You've
to
been after
question.
him all this time.
As he kind of turns his head towards you. I am after whoever it was that killed Schemo Weirdbottle. The only ones who knew about his place in this conflict outside of the Order of the Gilded Eye and Dagalt's inner circle was 3 members of this group. Valeria, Darmond, and Kriv. Considering Darmond is nowhere to be seen, either he has fled the scene or he is not the one who knew
Well, you know
when
who
Schemo had to die.
also knew about it. That's me. Oh, are you here to arrest me? Is that what we're doing?
If you would like to come along
No,
as
we
well,
know what's
then that is
happening
your
here.
choice.
You're here for Kriv. Xanth looks at Queria. What are your thoughts on this, Lady Queria?
As it is, I think the best thing that could happen is whoever needs to be brought in for an interrogation is brought in for an interrogation. Question him, and if we find nothing out of the ordinary, we let him go. We don't question him here. This is a holy place, and we do not wish to upset the gods further.
Why would you upset the gods further if you're just asking questions?
Because this fool, as she points to Javin, already did that the last time. He decided to speak with the 3 of you. I would rather not repeat that incident.
I'll go. I have nothing to hide.
Xanth looks at Valeria,
All right.
like almost wondering what she thinks about this. Actually,
She doesn't
Actually,
think
we're
it's a
using
bad
this
idea.
telepathic
She
thing,
thinks it's a
so
bad
he
idea.
would say that to
She
you.
doesn't think
What
any
do
of
you
us
think
should
about
go.
this?
I don't think any of us
So
should be
Xanth
alone
looks
with these
back at Javin and
bastards.
says, "If you want him, we will all come. Ask your questions."
As you wish, I have no issues with that. Would you all like to come? I know that the vast majority of you are likely innocent. It's just that I have questions about at least one, or, as she looks towards Valeria, two
Wait,
of
was
you.
that Query or was that Javin speaking?
I will come, just...
Okay. Well, you said
That
I
was
thought I heard you say
Javin.
she,
The
so I was
lower, the deeper
confused.
voice is Javin, the higher one is Quera. Sorry.
I will attend just for clarity of any information that might pop up.
I understand. Is this acceptable to you, Lady Quera? Yes, yes. I think having as many as possible would allow for a decent amount of protection as it is. I would say keep as many guards around in case, someone's planning something foolish, but I don't think we have to worry about that from these people. They're trustworthy enough and have proven so over time. At least according to the reports that I had heard. Now,
Xanth nods.
may we go?
A gesture to lead the way, sort of thing.
The party heads on their way. They are being led towards the Colat Towers, strangely enough, rather than any of the guard barracks. You notice a lot of Neverwinter guards filled up around the Colat Towers, whole bunch of them. Almost like maybe at least half the people that were defending the House of Wonder after the Galt sent his men there. The walls are still around the towers, the walls are still up, but the barrier keeping it out is gone. It stands. The party is making its way into the Colat Towers, guided by the order of the Gilded Eye. Eventually, as you pass through the doors, pass through the storage area, you are led into what looks like a kitchen, a dining area. Xanth, you actually recognize this dining area as the place you and Aranax met Lord Umbren for dinner the night after Session 1, or the night of Session 1, after Degalt Neverember's coronation. It was the first time you met Aranax in person. There seems to be a very large round table with a number of chairs set up. As it is, Catal has decided to leave his owl outside. As it is, Xanth, the
Kind of every so often, when we're not in moving places, I'll switch my vision back and forth between mine and my owls just to see if
absolutely.
anybody else is like coming up on the scene or anything.
As you manage to basically, you notice the Order of the Gilded Eye Paladin, specifically Jav and Tarmakos, setting up a number of chairs in a line for the party. One after another, after another, after another. And as the party is sort of lined up in front of a table, Javin sort of pulls up his own chair and begins speaking with the party as he says, Mr. Lair, would you mind casting Zone of Truth for me? Of course, of course. I think that would be no problem. As he casts it, and a great light shines upon the party. So, to begin, do any of you know about what happened during the night of Schimo's murder? Do you have any idea as to who killed him, or why?
Xanth already
Actually,
told
out
them
of
everything he
character,
knew,
trying to
and
remember.
having
This was a
been
long
there
time
with
ago.
what's his name, Renair.
Right. Right.
He was shot.
And so you have no idea as to who did it.
I don't use a gun.
That was not what I asked. I said, do you know who did pull that trigger? Or do you suspect anyone who pulled that trigger? Who could have?
Someone trying to frame the drow.
Xanth
Most
leans
likely.
forward and says, anyone
That's
could
not very
pull a
specific.
trigger. That's not relevant, is it? What we do know is that there was another person there in heavy armor. Let's focus on that.
Of course, I believe that would be the more important thing to focus on. Who do you know, outside of the Order of the Gilded Eye,
Xanth raises his
who
hand.
wears heavy armor?
Aside from you with the Gilded Eye, I would say members of the Golden Never Embers forces, my friend Xanth, the one known as Kriv, and I believe it's your old friend Apollo,
Yes.
the armor of the heavy variety, Xanth.
Although he cannot be implicated at this point because he's dead.
I see, yes, I had heard about that.
He was not dead at the time.
Tragic fate.
Um,
It is worth noting with Apollo Belmont, there was a case involving him that we were thinking about throwing out, considering those circumstances. Specifically, the death of 3 guards and the priest of Lathander, murdered in an attack, which some suspected Apollo Belmont was involved in.
I remember the day that happened. I remember
Is that
that day,
even-
and he was with me,
We-
so I can
He wouldn't
attest
do
that was
that.
not the case.
It was the night before, specifically, the same night Schimo died, though reportedly a bit after his death. At least an hour or two after his death.
could it be the same person?
That is my suspicion. So, as it stands, what is everyone's alibi for the night of December 19th?
Wait, it's December 19th that night?
The night before the party left for the Well of Dragons, and the night where Schimo died and the temple was attacked.
I was not in Waterdeep.
Do we all canonically have one of those?
Well,
I
you
can't
canonically
remember.
have a place where you were.
I know I would.
But as it is, like for example, Xanth,
Yeah.
you were
Yeah,
with
same.
Rhaegar investigating Schimo's death, and then you went back to the House of Wonder. Valeria, you were investigating Solaire and Javin
Yep.
Tarmakos, and then went back to the House of Wonder.
Nor was Catal.
Mr.
So
Dusk, as he said, was nowhere
when we
in the
got
city at
back
the
that
time.
evening, it had already happened, right?
No. Essentially, it would have happened. Well, so by the time you, Xanth, and you, Valeria, got back to the House of Wonder after
Okay,
your
yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out.
adventures, it probably would have already happened.
Yeah, so I was probably just in the House of Wonders that whole time.
Just
Okay,
sleeping.
there you go.
Yeah.
There's our alibis.
It's not.
Was with somebody who's no longer living
Yeah.
to corroborate my story. Valeria was doing something that she probably doesn't want to admit to, and Kriv was apparently sleeping. This-
Now,
And none of the
why-
people who were there at the house at the time are here. Oh boy, this is going to go well.
So say again, Valeria, what it was that you were doing on the night of the murder?
I was out gathering information important to my mission.
I see. What sort of information?
Yeah, we've spoken briefly on this about the rumors of the Bladed Viper being in the city. He is my mark, after all.
Of course. And were you able to find anything?
Not at all.
You kind of see Solaire just remain silent.
Yeah, I forgot he was even here.
He's the one casting Zone of Truth.
Yeah. Wait, did you just... Did she lie? Oh, wait.
He's remaining silent.
we didn't know
Remember,
until
we
just
turned
now we
coded
turn
him,
coded him.
guys.
We thought we
Wait,
did.
so
we
only
hoped we
he
did.
can report this up?
Valeria always believed.
Wait,
Mostly.
so he could just...
Only Solaire can definitively know that you're lying based on the Zone of Truth. It's not like it just tells
Javin-
everyone in that radius the
So
person's
Javin is
lying.
expecting
It
him to
doesn't
tell
flash
him
red.
if there's
Why
any.
did they let him do it?
So Javin, yes,
Oh my god.
there's a lie.
It's really funny.
Wow.
Oh,
Damn.
I see. In that case, that is unfortunate. I do hope that you're able to find out more as time goes on. If he is connected to this case, it is possible that he is too
Wait.
working with this kobold.
Okay. I was gonna say if he just said
Oh,
that,
sorry,
then we've
yeah,
got
he didn't
bigger
hear the name.
problems.
He just this kobold. Yeah, never mind. Perhaps he is working with this
Hold on a minute.
kobold as well. So, as he's kind of thinking about what his next question should be in this situation. So, it was reported that when you arrived in the House of Wonder, or when you arrived in the Well of Dragons, things began to deteriorate very quickly. You found the dragon wormlings, but the kobolds were on you extremely quickly. Very quickly. Granted, you did not exactly play subtle in the beginning. But if the Dragon King, this leader of the kobolds, was on the scene immediately as you were leaving,
Oh, it's almost as if
that
we knew
doesn't
we were
seem
coming,
right,
like it
does
was a trap. I've thought of that myself, actually.
Or at the very least,
Yes, but
they
he
found
had
out
another,
where you were quite
I don't know,
quickly.
lieutenant, whatever you would call him, another was present, so he could have got word to him somehow.
He
I don't
did.
know.
From what I was reported. It is possible. It is possible. And as it is, there was no other suspicious behavior from anyone you knew continuing past that point, all the way on your
Suspicious?
trip back to Waterdeep. None at all. Any sort of suspicious activity.
Didn't he? He was able to track us
Yes,
down.
he found
like,
us in
in
Hill's
that one
Edge.
town, wasn't he?
Under the guise of Lord Umbren.
I see. And do any of you know how he could have done this?
He's a powerful wizard. I assumed it was some spell or some
How he
thought-
could have tracked you?
something he's able to do. I don't know that much about wizards.
I see.
I mean, didn't we think that he could have been, like, there to meet the Paraghost or whatever his name was? Like, he could have been there for unrelated reasons.
I don't think so because
Yes,
they
it did seem like there was a
roared.
standoff before Aranax.
Yeah, that's a
He
good
just
point.
stops talking.
And on the trip through Candlekeep, all the way back to Waterdeep, there was nothing out of the ordinary.
Well, we faced a false Hydra and we
Nothing
faced a
of the sort.
Beholder. Sorry, Sans wouldn't have said Beholder. I don't really know that he knew it was a false Hydra either. So he would have just said we faced, and he described the two creatures.
We do know it's a false Hydra.
You faced
Both
the Beholder?
creatures?
When did that happen?
Maybe only one of the
2
creatures?
sessions you were gone.
How did you beat a Behold or survive a Behold?
It wasn't, but I don't think we should mention that,
Yeah.
Xan.
So I
Because
couldn't
of
have
what
said
that came
false
from?
Hydra or Beholder. Xanth couldn't have said false Hydra or Beholder because he
What?
didn't know what either of those things are.
We can't
Oh,
say
okay,
false
yeah.
Hydra because
So
we
he
had
would-
the
so
book
he
that
would say
described
false
it as a
Hydra.
false Hydra.
And he would say,
That is true. Yeah.
we had battles with other creatures. We had a battle with the false Hydra. I mean, what other information are you looking for?
This is... Question. You mentioned a ring on Schemo, a silver ring, the last time we talked about this, correct? And you claim that that ring was used
he
to
talking to
impersonate
Xanth?
Lord Umbren.
Okay.
Specifically to Valeria and Kriv.
Yes.
I think, yeah.
In your travels, were you able to figure out where that silver ring had ended up?
No.
When Renair and I had entered the
No.
Emo's shop, the ring was already gone. Whoever killed him must have taken it. None of us have seen it since then.
I'll let you know, as it stands, we had no incidents of impersonation after your party left Waterdeep. None that we knew of. No cases of a masked lord being impersonated, a drow randomly attacking a temple, no incidents of a monster.
But you did have the son of the Open
Pretending to
Lord
be
murdered. You don't know who did it. Oh,
We did. We know who did it. We know exactly who did it. You may refuse to believe it, but every scout from the Harpers, from our own scouts from Neverwinter, who infiltrated Skullport, all say the same thing. Jarlaxle ordered the death of Raynar Neverember. It was one of his
if this was
gunslingers who put the
witnessed,
bullet
then
in the
how have
back
you
of his
not
head.
moved on it?
Because we do not have the manpower to move on it. As you know, the plan to move on it is the assault on Skullport entirely. We've already tried assaults through the shadows, sabotage campaign on his
So
ships.
you have a
Those
witness
saboteurs were
saw
caught and
the
murdered.
gunslinger kill Open Lord's son.
We have had as many witnesses claim that as we could get.
Do you honestly believe it was on Jarlaxle's orders or on someone else's?
It might be under the orders of the kobold, but it doesn't change the fact that it was certainly a drow who did
Do
it.
not question.
There were no strange, complicated cases of a paladin of Lathander wandering into his own temple, asking where he could take a shit, then magically disappearing and being replaced by a drow gunslinger who shot and killed a priest, poisoned the room, and cut the throats of whatever guard was still left alive, before jumping out the window and racing on their way out of there, being attacked by what priests could fire at him from above. You have to understand, the death of Raynar Neverember was straightforward, it was clean, and it was uncomplicated. In every other case that you have brought to me, the death of Schemo, as well as the cases that I've had to figure out myself, like Jarlaxle's attempt on my life, as well as the attack on the Temple of the Thander, those were all strange and ridiculous events, none of which made sense, and the result of which I don't even know the answers to. I don't know what the goals were. With Raynar Neverember, I know what the intention was: to murder the son of the Open Lord, to drive him into a position of rage where he will make a critical mistake.
Armor. From your witness, what sort of armor was this drow wearing?
The drow was not wearing heavy armor, however the footsteps he left behind said differently.
Then it was someone who is disguised. It's not as clean as you just stated.
Indeed, like I said, that case was like the death of Schemo. Bizarre, complicated, where I don't even understand what the point of killing the three gods was.
I was
or
on
the
about
priest.
the murder of Raynar.
No, that one was with light armor. Clear as day.
Could it be a simulacrum?
It could be a simulacrum, and I could present that possibility to
No, I don't
Devolver.
believe it would.
But I promise you, it will not change anything if I did.
So, we're back to the place where you expect that one of us have done something. We need to get to the bottom of it and get on with this. Ask your questions.
I agree. As it stands, my gut feelings are not enough to convict you, nor convince any of you, I'm sure. However, I do know that there is something wrong with this group on some level. Things are being hidden, and I know they're being hidden. I simply cannot prove exactly how. So, what I would
Do you
like
expect
to
to find by
is I would
searching
like
us?
to search all of you. There is always the possibility of magic items meant to conceal the truth. The ring, for example. If the killer was among you, it would have the ring. There's also the possibility that if the killer had a way of changing their outfit, the appearance of their outfit, there's also the possibility of them having a hat of disguise.
All I ask is that you do not remove my mask that I currently wear.
Your mask is not a ring. That is acceptable.
Xanth holds his hands
I
out.
intend to search the hands most of all.
I am willing to check. I am willing for you to check.
Xanth takes
my
his gauntlets
person.
off and puts them down on the
Remove your
table.
gauntlets. No ring, no clearly visible. Give me a moment. As he sort of pats down the hands, sort of trying to feel for something. Nope, you're clean, as expected.
Xanth looks at the rest. Yes.
He asked me to remove. He asked me to remove my gloves.
Just cooperate. We have nothing to hide.
I would like you to remove your gloves.
Nothing to do with this, but it is very personal for me. I reluctantly do it, and you see, as the gloves come off, you see pale white, like withered but horribly burnt, scarred hands. Please, be quick. I do not like showing my body.
He pats down the scarred hands, trying careful not to accidentally peel off bits of flesh.
Xanth
He's clean. There are no rings on him.
And for the first time since you met Mr. Dusk, he
leans forward and
panically
says,
just puts the
Katala was
gloves
not
back
even
on.
present, so I don't suspect you're interested in him.
I will search him last. How about that?
And Valeria will show out her hands. She's not wearing gloves or anything.
Understood.
How would Katal even have the ring? Look at
Exactly. That's why I say. There is always the possibility of something done. Yeah, the whole situation
Yes,
is
yes.
convoluted enough as it is.
just treat him
It's
fairly.
difficult to
That's
say
all
for
he
certain.
asks.
That is what I intend to do.
Definitely gonna like in this part, like I guess kind of play dumb or like the Chewbacca vibe. Nobody else can understand me, but apparently Xanth for no reason. If anybody asks me like direct questions, I'll just chitter at them.
As he pats down Valeria's hands, he says, "You appear clean. Good enough. All right, one more. Griff, hold out your hands."
Well, the end of the line. I
What?
admit it. I was the spy the whole time.
As his eyes just sort of widen for a moment.
I take off all the stuff. All I want
Xanth,
is to not
you know how like when
be
you
killed or
jump
thrown
up
in
from
jail
your chair and
forever.
you like
Believe
push
you
it
do
out of
not
the way
have
and it kind
much
of
of a
falls over.
choice.
Xanth just did that.
Xanth,
Show me your hands.
I do.
As he pats him down, and he finds two things on his hands. As he pulls both out, you see two rings. One is a silver ring, exactly like the one you saw Schemo wearing. The other appears to be more of a golden ring with almost like a brain symbol at the top of it. As Javin says, A ring of mind shielding.
Yes.
So
Thought
the
it would
truth couldn't
Xanth
work
is
on
like
you.
breathing heavily and
Couldn't.
staring at Kriv.
So the caltrops, they were
Mine.
yours. And the poison?
My master provided that.
Tears are streaming down Xanth's face.
The
Where's your master, Kriv?
Not the Dragon King. In fact, there is no Dragon King. It is Umbren.
What?
Can I insight check that?
we're all
Sure, absolutely.
I'm
taking
gonna
on
guide it.
insight.
I'm going
Sure.
to guidance myself for this.
Actually, Zone of Truth should still be active.
Not
Team.
great.
So Xanth is gonna glance. Xanth is gonna glance over
Yeah.
at
Should be.
Solaire
And I
when he
had
says
them
that.
removed.
7.
Feet.
8. As it stands, he doesn't appear to be lying. The problem you run into with your insights, and here's the thing that the high insight is able to tell, the 18 specifically. The problem you run into is that Lord Umbren has been arrested. He has been put in a cell by this point as a result of the Dragon King's actions. Now, when he says the Dragon King isn't real, he's telling the truth with that, but you know that's not true because the Dragon King was right there in front of you multiple times over. And when he cast the altar self in that tavern, that was him concentrating on a spell that ended up failing. So he was disguised as Lord Umbren and turned back into
far
his
is
true
Kriv from
form of the
Xanth?
Dragon King.
You believe?
Arn.
Is Kriv still sitting?
About 5
And I
feet.
assume he's got paladins around him, or at least one. Who was
Yes.
doing the looking? Was it Javin? Xanth walks over I guess a step,
Yes.
and looks down at Kriv and says, "You betrayed us?" Xanth looks at
I was
Javin.
never really on your side, actually.
He's just got tears just streaming down it. Like he is broken right now.
Allow me to cast Divine Sense. There's a possibility that this might be a simulacrum. As with the rings off, you see that same force emanate around him. As he says, No, he's not undead. He is not a simulacrum, and there is nothing that could hide that fact if he was. This man is humanoid, clear as day. He doesn't appear to be mind-controlled either,
Perhaps he has got to,
though he does seem particularly
I was about
confused.
to say the same. I believe he's confused as to who is the real thing. I think he believes the Dragon King to be a figment of imagination, story, and Umbren is the true master, whereas we all know the alternative. It is the reverse.
Xanth is you. If anybody's paying any attention, you can see Xanth's hand is on the hilt of his sword.
Xanth, now is not the time
Xanth,
to face true
it's
justice,
like
not vengeance.
it's like the combination of sobbing and maniacal laughter. He says, "Justice? You believe that?" Now he's starting to pull his sword out slowly.
I place my hand on his hand and go, Amph, you really want to go down this road? I've been down this road many
Xanth
times.
looks at
is not a
Jav
road you can come back
and
from.
interrupts Mr. Dusk. He says,
Someone
"What is
who
to be
knows.
done with him?"
I still have more information.
My intent, if you would allow me,
No.
is to bring him to Helm's Hold along with Lady Coera
No.
tomorrow morning. There, he will face the justice of the Order of the Gilded
No.
Eye,
He
as
will
well as
he
have
will
the
find
information
his
he has
justice right
extracted
here,
from him
right
in totality.
now. We will take him nowhere.
Cannot. You are not in the right mind to make sound decisions, Xanth.
Listen, if what you said about the simulacrum is accurate, that a simulacrum had murdered Galt's son, and you bring this dragonborn to him, Galt will assume that the death of Schemo and the Drow are connected, especially with everything that has been done up to this point. He will hang regardless. My intent is to get as much out of him as possible before that happens.
Solaire, when he said he has more information, was he telling the truth?
He certainly believes everything he said.
Yes.
Can we not question him here?
I mean, we could.
I believe we would all like to hear his answers, especially Xanth and Valeria. They've been most hurt by this, and I believe they deserve the answers.
What is to be my punishment?
You've murdered an adult gold dragon. Perhaps one of the best allies that we intended to have in this city. Make no mistake, Dragonborn, we intend to see you hang. However, we do wish to know fully who is the Dragon King.
After the first mission that I went on with this group, where we formed the crater, me and Darmond were brought before Umbren. You remember hearing this story, I presume. But that wasn't the fake Umbren. It was the real one. He killed me, but then resurrected me, telling me that if I worked for him, he would spare my life and reward me. I took his offer and infiltrated your group in order to spy on you. He also made it so that I could telepathically communicate with him after whenever he cast the spell. I still can now.
And have you contacted him recently?
Not not today. Only yesterday.
What are you using this ring for, Kriv?
All right.
I shapeshifted to frame Apollo, and more importantly, to kill those guards that we rescued from the sewers. They had some information.
Do you know
that
what
he
the
didn't
information
want
was?
them to spill. No.
Okay. Wonderful. What do you know of his plans?
Wait, hold on, let me think for a little more. I need to scroll back up to notes.
The temple attack happened after Umbren had been arrested, right? Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Do we know? Sorry.
Oh. Another thing. The reason he acted so shocked when he saw Solaire join the party and that we were going off to, what's it called? The Dragons?
The Well of Dragons.
The Well of Dragons. Was because I forgot to tell him that beforehand. What else?
So the question is, how is it that Lord Umbren is able to operate in two different places at once?
I guess is that he's either teleporting or making a simulacrum.
Why is he disguising himself as a kobold?
I do not know.
Once again, the problem you run into is that, again, your best insight is able to suggest that is blatantly false. The kobold, the Dragon King,
No,
was
I
very
don't
clearly.
think he. I don't think he thinks that. I think
like,
he's just
that
trying
was
to
not
play
a
along and
disguise.
get more
Dragon
information out of
King,
Kriv.
not a disguise. Anyways,
Yeah, you're right, Xanth. That's what I was trying to do. I tried to figure out, like, how much of it he believes and how much his mind has been messed with, basically.
He, when I told him that the kobold we fought at the Well of Dragons said that he worked for a kobold king, he laughed and hold on, let me find these. He also said that he wanted that kobold dead. He wanted you to beat him.
What is the end game for his plan? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
no, I agree. What is the end game for this?
He said that it didn't really matter if you won that battle or not, because he would still win.
It's not what we're asking. We're asking what his end game is. What does he aim to achieve out of doing all this?
Wait, hold on. Guess I don't have to discuss that I'm like talking to Noah through chat, but can you bring that message back No, I feel like you sent that like a while ago.
What the end goal was?
Yeah, didn't he say that?
From what you were able to remember, it was to cause chaos within the city of Waterdeep. Basically,
Yeah.
set it aflame.
So I'll just say, I don't know, he seems to just want chaos for chaos's sake. Maybe he wants to do something with it after? I wasn't in the business of asking too many questions.
Hmm.
And is that all you know?
More things might come back to me. I'm trying to remember.
Why did you kill
I
Oranax?
see.
As he told me to.
You do realize killing a dragon required an ungodly amount of planning.
Yes. Well, not
You
too
would have
much.
had to have been carrying for a while those vials of poison, right?
Yes, I was. I believe before the session where we first before the time we first confronted the bladed viper.
You picked them up then.
Yes. He gave them to me.
Personally, that night.
Well, the night before it, I think.
Technically, it was actually that night. Same night the party fought the Bladed Viper.
Oh, it
To the
was.
point where
Then,
you remember getting Dimension Door to the top of the House of Wonder at the very start of Session 4.
okay, yeah. Thad must be so confused with this. How are
I
you
mean,
following?
I've done some research.
Yeah.
Catal doesn't understand a lot, but
As it is. So that would have also been the same night as Lord Umbren's arrest.
Yeah, he knew that he was going to be arrested, so he gave it to me.
As you see the gears in Javin's head start to turn, more and more and more.
Um, wait, one more thing. He also instructed me to tell him the location of that map that Aranax had.
And did you?
Yes. I'm not sure if he has it or not, but he was
How did you
also...
get that? The information on that?
He handed me a potion of mind reading. Right before he was arrested.
What map specifically?
The one with dragons on it. I found another
Wait,
half of...
hang on. I heard reports about Solaire
Yes, that was
finding
afterwards. What are you talking about,
your
Kriv?
party finding a map in the Well of Dragons. But
No, they're different ones. That one already belonged to Umbren. He was actually quite furious that it was taken.
you're talking about a different map of dragons.
Yes. It seems like he wanted both.
One you got from a potion of mind reading. You learned the location of through a potion of mind reading.
Yes.
Whose mind did you read?
You
to
already
get it?
given him this information
Aranax's.
about the whereabouts of this map?
Yes. Before we even left.
Where is this map? Where was the location?
Hold on. I'm just going through all of the notes that I have. Hold on.
Specifically, it was mentioned that it was in the mouth of the statue to Bahamut in the guest room, surrounded
Yeah.
by 4 golems who would essentially kill anyone that tried to get into it. Anyone that
Yep.
tried to take the map, 4 stone golems would immediately come alive and beat whoever was involved to death. Which would actually
Yeah, I was wondering if
explain
Arnax.
the
Arnax.
bodies
So I
littering the
know
floor when you
Arnax
got
mentioned
back.
that he had a map, but I don't know if
That
he
Arnax
ever
had-
told Xanth
no.
how to get to it. No.
He never did. He never told anyone. All right. Well, in that case, I think we've gotten all that we're going to be able to get. You've told me a lot that's going to be very useful for the Order of the Gilded-Eye moving forward. We might just be able to salvage our situation here, thanks to you. In the meantime, I would like to take this traitorous assassin with me. And as I said before, I intend to send him back with Coira to Helm's Hold. Face justice, have as much extracted from him as possible, and then be dealt with appropriately, as per
Xanth
the
is just
laws
quietly
of that area.
staring.
Listen, I know what you're thinking, and no, you can't take him with you, or you can't come with us, or with them. I'm not going myself. The problem is that it's a 5-day journey up to Helm's Hold, and that's if they move quickly, which they likely won't. Understand that they do not intend to come back until this conflict is over with. So I would not recommend it. I promise you that he will be dealt with as necessary. He will be given the appropriate sentence, the appropriate amount of prison time as needed. And with how cooperative he has been, that will likely take time off of his sentence. Even still, the information that he has given to
No.
us incriminate Lord
You won't
Umbren,
take him from
we
Waterdeep.
will need it.
He committed crimes here. He committed the crimes here. He can stand justice here, just as anyone else. If it's
Why
good
is
for
that?
good enough for Umbren to be in prison, it's good enough for Kriv. Would say he's more
He is
dangerous
too
than Umbren.
dangerous to be left unattended by the Order of the Gilded Eye. If I can't put Lord Umbren where he's supposed to be. We intended to send Lord Umbren to Helm's Hold when he was initially arrested, but the Masked Lords refused to do it. Instead, they wanted him sent to Blackstaff Tower so the Force Grey could look after him. No. Lord Umbren has already been allowed to
Then
evade justice well enough.
let us
I will
kill
not
him
allow
now and
this
be done with
Dragonborn
it.
of his to do the same. He will be sent to Helm's Hold. If you wish to kill him, then do it. I will not stop you from committing your justice. Not in this environment. I know that Aranax was a good friend to you, so if you wish to do as you wish, I will not stop you. But if you are unwilling to kill him, if you are unwilling to see justice done in that sense, then understand that he will be taken with us so that he can face our justice.
Xanth looks at
True
Valeria.
justice.
I
You
don't
said that out
know.
loud?
All I know is that him going is going to be a very bad idea.
Why would you say that?
And yeah,
No, I want to say that to you.
They'll say it's through the telepathy
I
the
will-
party has,
Yeah.
thanks to
I'll
Catal.
obviously say for your telepathy, why would you think it's a bad idea?
And we know we can't trust them.
Because they're already known for torturing
And we don't know
people.
what their plans are with him. If he has information he's withholding, we're not getting it from him anyway. They're taking him. They're not our allies, Mr. Dusk.
You just want blood.
Enough from
Xanth.
you, Valeria.
Not out of justice. Vengeance. Shut it! I am talking to you now, Xanth. Hear me well. You have been antagonistic to me for the entire time I have just been trying to help you. Listen well. The path you walk down is a dark and not very happy one. I have been down there. I have seen the pits of where that goes.
Yes!
You are not after
Yes,
justice.
you are right!
You are
I am
after
after vengeance! Xanth
Do not
draws his
lie.
sword and attacks!
I will stop you. I jump in front of him.
Valeria is going to join in to stand in front.
So, all right. So, roll initiative. All four involved. Since Catal has actually, Kriv as well can roll initiative.
How many guards
the
are
paladins
there
aren't
here?
the
As it is,
the Gilded
there's
Eye aren't
Samara,
gonna
there's
do anything to stop
Daventonicos,
Xanth.
and 2 watching the door.
They've already given him permission.
No,
And
they
have
aren't
I-
going to do anything.
And have I been fully disarmed?
You do not have your rings anymore, but you have not been fully disarmed.
And then I just have a
shit.
quick question. Does initiative count as an ability score?
Oh, that
It
sucks.
counts as a dexterity check.
Okay, then I get disadvantage because of exhaustion.
Shit.
Yay!
Hey, did
Who
you
did
go
you-
down in that fight?
I
Oh,
gotta
well,
know who you
so-
fought after this is over.
I did almost twice. But hey, I still roll.
So, Kriv fella, what do
What?
you roll?
2.
I got a 20.
All
Still.
right. So both Mr. Dusk and Valeria managed to get in front beforehand.
So Xanth has
As
his
it is,
blade
they
held
are
overhead
blocking
in
the
both
blow.
hands.
Xanth,
And
what do you do?
as they move in front of him, he stops. The blade is still held up high. Get out of my way! I will have justice! This man shall die for what he's done for us!
No.
You're willing to die for a man you don't
want
even
him.
know? Mr. Dusk, you know nothing about any of this! You just came along yesterday!
I know
isn't
enough,
you.
Xanth.
Aranax
I
is
have been told by
dead
Aranax
because of
everything
this
that has
man!
happened. Do not dismiss. Let him face justice, not vengeance, boy.
This isn't who you are, Xanth.
Allow me to show you what this path really looks like. And Mr. Dusk will take his hat off, undo the bindings, and pull his mask off. And the best way to describe it is you see strands of straggly white hair.
Never played
And
it.
you know the ghouls from Fallout? Oh, 1 second.
Essentially a zombie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll show you a picture of
Mhm.
what they look like.
I feel like
Regardless,
I've
imagine
gotta
a
see the
zombie
picture.
with pale skin.
Like really pale, burnt skin sort of look. 1 second. It's not. No. 1 second, sorry. I really want to sort of. This is kind of skin of how it looks, but pale white with white straggly hair. This is what this path truly looks like. Xanth.
You see, he's just kind of looking at this visage before him.
An elf.
I am a Shadows.A. I am from Evermeet. I had a family. Till that day. Burns hurt every day. Every morning I wake. Every night I go to sleep. You, what seems just a harmless walk down the street, every step I feel the searing pain of burns. If I had tear ducts, I would be crying right now. Simple thing like crying. I have had years of pain as I turned into this. You think this is something you want? Because trust me, I'm someone who knows.
You can
You
tell,
do
like,
not.
Xanth pities you based on what you look like. Looks at Valeria.
I do not want your pity. I want you
Looks at
to learn.
Valeria.
I
He
want you to
says,
learn a lesson.
"It is our problem. You've drug him along through all of this. We allowed this to happen by letting him do this behind our backs. Us up to us. Don't want him going with them. It's our problem. Let us finish it." Then what is? Give me an answer, damn it!
But death is not the answer.
Is it not?
You will calm down, Xanth.
Okay, so with
It's
this
not just about your
initiative,
vengeance here. There are bigger
he
things
decides
at
to make an
play.
action. What happens?
If he decides to go for the swing, what will likely happen is that either Mr. Dusk or Valeria will take that first hit.
Right. So,
Assuming it hits. As Javin says, so I'm curious, Elf. What is justice to you? What is your version of justice? What should be done with this man?
He will be found and tried and faced.
By who? Do you believe it will be us? Have you decided that we are a worthy arbiter of justice? Yes.
No. It is not murder, which is what Xanth is. I do not have all the answers, but I do believe that this answer, what Xanth is trying to do is wrong. I'm more worried about the soul of
Perhaps.
Jolt Xanth than I am this cretin behind me.
But at the same time, I will not lie to you. If he lives, take him back to Helm's Hold. There's always the possibility of us being attacked on the road, him escaping, being let loose, him being saved by his master, as he puts it, Lord Umbren sending to save. But if that happens, even if that does not happen, understand that we'll like him hurt either way. The simple truth is that sometimes bad things need to be done to ensure worse things can't happen moving forward.
I know that more than all of you in this room.
Do you? You say that you burned in Evermeet, but did you stop anything? Did you do anything to stop it, or were you simply another victim? I know what happened in Everneat. I know about the Mad Dragon's rampage, and I know about the constant red wizards that stormed through the island's lands. Tell me, did you stop any of them? Did you save any lives in your actions?
No. You're right.
Then how can you argue any of that? What true justice
It
is?
is not cold-blooded murder.
How
It makes you no better than those that were rampaging and burned me.
it does make you better, because you stop further murders, rather than simply allowing them to happen, and allowing pretty much having the innocent blood from the future still on your hands. It's the difference between having the blood of a murderer on your hands and the blood of
And let me
dozens of
ask you
innocent.
this. Will the Xanth slaying this dragonborn in front of us now, that stop the murder of the drow? That stop the murder of innocent drow down there? Ones that have done no actions against this city. Those are the ones I have meant to absorb the suffering of.
That will be enough. The ones who are innocent, it will likely help, because you will not have such a dangerous force further framing them,
Xanth
further
Xanth
making
looks at
them
Valerian and
seem
says, "There it be
unworthy,
now, tomorrow,
trustworthy.
years from now. I'm going to punish every single member of this Dragon King, this whatever he is, this kobold. I'm going to punish them all, every one of them, including this pathetic coward. So, it can happen now, it can happen later, but it will happen. I only ask that as my companion, as someone who has walked this path with me, you understand that this is what must happen."
Through the bond, she's gonna be pointing out what Javin has been saying, as in and
Paul
bring
is
and she
actually going to shut down the bond besides what Xanth says. He's currently the only one
okay.
capable of communicating across it.
Damn.
Mr. Dusk kind of affixes
I am
his mask and
curious.
hat back on, and he just...
As he turns to Valeria, I am curious. The bladed viper was your mark, correct?
Yes.
There was more to it, wasn't there? Something more personal that drives you to come after him.
Yes. An innocent man was killed.
Tell me, if you had the opportunity to hunt down this man, to finally catch him, what would you do to him? You were given the opportunity. End his murders, end his crimes once and for all, so he couldn't hurt another soul ever. What would you do?
I believe that I've learned that there's something more to this all, and
So you would spare his life.
he would serve justice, and death is too easy.
Too easy. That's your answer. That death is too easy, and the criminal simply being allowed to live, giving them the chance to escape and cause more havoc. That is harder What? Because it forces them to actually put effort into what they're doing in the future, rather than simply being allowed to accept their fate,
Xanth
which
looks
has been
at
coming to them for a
Valerian
long
and
time.
says, "If he can communicate with his master, what's to stop him from securing a rescue on the way to Helm's Hold? How do we know that he can even? If we don't deal with it now, how do we know that it will ever be dealt with? How do we know Kriv doesn't get away with this?"
Why would I want to? After what I've told you, he'll kill me. The
Then you should have
difference
stood
is
by our
there's
side
only a
instead of his.
70% chance you'll kill me and a 100% chance he will. Mistakes were made.
See,
You
I'm trapped
see
in a corner.
a couple of guards coming
He's-
in from another room.
He's talking to me now. He's sending me a message.
I cannot persuade you otherwise.
He's telling me to
Sorry, go on, Kriv. I'll speak afterwards.
He's telling me to report on what's happened.
As Mr. Dusk lets out, like, you can tell he's just letting out a huge sigh, and he kind of walks to Xanth and places his hand on his shoulder and just goes, Xanth, the path you were just about to walk down. Very lonely, very dark path, and for that I am sorry. For you will not see a happy ending to this path. I know that perhaps
Guards.
there is no way to stop you unless you walk down this path.
If you are unwilling to take this path, if you are unwilling to do what is necessary, then I shall simply take him away. Guards,
Valeria will draw her blade and try to stab at Kriv.
all right, roll the attack.
Is that also a disadvantage at level 1 exhaustion?
No.
No,
That,
okay.
That would be like level 3 exhaustion.
Okay. Then that is
I want to do something afterwards.
$25 to hit.
That hits.
So, like, with him sitting down at a table, would there be any sort of, like, advantage to hit him or anything?
From
I mean, I guess we could say he's prone.
that's
After
9
that, I'm going to
damage.
use a sorcery
9
point.
damage.
With the,
Sorry. Xanth, I want to do something before you. I did say, dude. I'm going to use a sorcery point for distance spell. And I'm going to cast level 2 inflict wounds on him.
Oh, wonderful.
Paul's gonna reach out with a counter spell.
Oh,
All right.
okay. I'm then
got
I'm then
counter
going to
spelled.
quicken use my last 2 sorcery points. Nope, I can't fucking I look at Katal. Do that again to me, and you will know my full wrath.
This is just the
No.
most logical solution.
Look
The
in
preservation of the clutch.
D&D
we must
Beyond
make
if you
this
want,
decision.
but Xanth just rolled a natural 20 attack.
Oh, that doesn't hit.
Well, it's a 25. It's a yeah. Sorry, it's
I
a
mean,
25.
unless you have modified, or no, you probably have modifiers.
saying-
That's a 20 hits no matter what.
That's a
Natural.
25. I'm just saying it was a natty.
Natural 20.
Yeah. Okay.
And
Yeah.
Valeria, you said that was like a 6 damage or 9?
9 total.
Okay.
hmm
Zan, because of the fact that Mr. Dusk and Valeria are no longer blocking you,
Okay, so how does
you
tell me the
are
crunchy
free
crit
to
rules
attack
again
with
because
the
I don't
full
really
might of
understand them
ye
very well.
paladin magic.
And that includes the smite that he's
Roll
getting ready to
plus
do.
maximum roll plus
Okay,
modifier.
so that's full smite plus the roll, right?
That includes smite.
Just that I'm just making sure I understand this. Okay, then there's some math here. Hold on.
Yep.
All right. So plus. Never done this before, so I'm like a little nervous. Oh, and then I guess he gets 2 attacks. So, do I roll for both attacks separately? Okay.
Me?
I just realized that. I was like,
Yeah.
wait a minute.
Bro, yeah.
Oh, I guess I would have gotten a second attack too then. Level 5.
It honestly doesn't matter that much, but
sorry,
yeah,
I'm
you would roll for both.
very good at this.
I'm guessing
Okay,
if
so
a 20
that's
would miss, so does his 19.
Yes, a 19 would miss.
And I can't do anything?
Again, when Xanth has finished up the damage that he's doing, and Thad has finished up his turn, Gatal, then you will have the option to retaliate, as you again roll the 2.
Okay, and I assume a 16 will miss, right?
I really did roll it.
Okay. Unless I've miscounted, I just my first attack did 61.
16 will miss.
16 will.
That's 3. That's because he's two-handed with his sword, so it's 1d10 plus 2, which is 12, and then I rolled 7 more on top of that, which is 19. Then max of the 3d8, which is 24. Then I rolled 3d8 for where'd it go? 18. Oh, 61 altogether.
Okay, again,
I put it in chat.
altogether,
61. 6-1.
that's 16. Okay, 61 points of damage.
What the hell? Oh my god.
Because crit smite is a fucking nightmare. The worst part, the strange part,
That's it for
still
me.
up.
I swung at him twice.
I'm
I
going.
missed the second time.
No, never mind.
Wow.
I
Glanced
can't
off
do
his armor, I guess. Yeah, I think Catal thought that
Next
Mr.
on the
Dusk
turn
was
order,
casting that
finally,
spell on Xanth.
is Catal
Which
before him.
to be fair, in character that he might have thought that
I
because
totally
Mr. Dusk has been
did.
trying to stop Xanth.
Well,
So to be
got
fair,
confused.
that could have happened.
Yes. It could have been what he thought. Anyways.
Man,
If you're-
I feel like a dick now.
Take that.
I'm just gonna cast Hold Person on Kriv.
Oh, okay. Rib, time to make a wisdom save.
Okay, hold on.
DC 17.
You roll for me on my actual one.
Alright, understood. That is a +0 to the roll. That is a fuck nat 1.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding you. That is a
Okay.
nat 1.
Okay. That is
Bad news.
unfortunate.
Bad news.
Anyway, it's my turn now.
I will use my bonus action to begin a blade dance and move as close to Kriv as I can.
Move as close to Kriv as you can. If I remember closely with Cold Person, it restricts their movement completely, but it doesn't necessarily, or does it paralyze someone?
It is paralyzed.
Oh. Well. Oh no.
Well, I mean, that's
Yeah.
what it says in the little notes here. Let me actually read the spell.
don't worry
and make
about
sure.
it. I agree.
Okay.
You're right. So, Kriv, I think the most you're going to be able to do on this turn is roll a wisdom save.
Okay. On my turn?
Yes.
I believe at the end of your turn.
The end is nigh.
Wait, so I can't do anything but cast a wisdom save? Can I not even...
Because you are paralyzed, you cannot fight back.
So, can I use Blade Ward?
Again, because you are paralyzed, you pretty much have no
Okay.
actions to work with.
Then, I guess I'll tell
I don't think he can speak
the
either.
Gilded Eye people.
You won't be able to speak because you're technically paralyzed.
I know, I can't speak more. Okay, then wisdom throw. I guess I'm dead.
Another nat 1!
Where's this rolling at? I don't see it.
Why?
Yeah.
This is so anticlimactic. Oh my god.
I'm rolling on... essentially, I created a separate character sheet for Kriv, which was essentially his experience having come back to him. When the party got into a fight with him, he was essentially 5 levels higher than the rest. But that sure as shit
Yeah.
doesn't matter here!
No, how the hell did you have a 60 damage attack?
Crit?
Well, it was just a
Paladin.
first.
Oh
it
my
was
god,
3d8.
really?
I'm sure you went as high
did
with
you guys
the
not hear
spell
me when I
slots
broke
you
the
could,
damage
Sam.
down? It's 3d8.
2d8. 2d8.
Oh.
Oh no,
It's,
you're
it's
right.
only 3d.
For a first
It's only
level slot,
3d8
that's
if
Okay,
it's
so
undead.
you
undead.
would take.
Or fiend.
Okay, so hold on. It's fine. We can fix that. So you would take 8.
Yeah, this is not a
You would
fiend.
so the question is, which damage die would I drop? I don't know which one. Do you want me to just re-roll the whole thing? That's fine with me. Okay. All right. Here we go. Roll.
Third one.
Okay, so
Third
that's
damage die of the smite.
I
at
can't
random.
go back and see what the third die was, so we'll just subtract 5. I just rolled it. It was a 5.
No, the third die would be removed.
We
completely.
subtract 13, so it'd be 48 instead of 61. Bad.
Understood. So yes, Kriv is standing a bit
So,
harder than before, but unfortunately
It's
that
going to
doesn't
be
seem
back
to matter
to
because
who?
the
Mr.
man
Dust
still got
or
another natural
Valeria?
1 on the wisdom save.
Oh my god.
Yes, it'll be back to
Xanth
back up to the
came
very
down
top.
with both hands and
It
brought the
will
blade back up
likely
again. It's
be-
clear he plans to attack again.
Mr. Dusk.
I bonus action send the Raven Queen right behind Kriv, place my hand on his head. I say, face oblivion for what you have done. And I'm going to level 1 inflict wounds. Would that be with advantage if he's paralyzed?
It is
I
a
think
touch
just
coup de
spell,
grace
right?
on a
as
helpless
normal.
opponent?
It is a touch spell. So it's an attack, if I remember correctly.
So is that with advantage or straight roll? Too many people talking.
Straight
Even
roll.
if he's paralysed, can't move.
Well, I can just make sure so I'm not getting anything wrong here. As it stands, a paralyzed creature is incapacitated, can't move or speak, automatically fails strength and dex saves. Attack rolls against the creature do have advantage, and any
I
attack that
speak.
hits the creature is a critical hit if the
Nice.
attacker is within 5 feet of the creature.
Can I speak
He shut it
through
up.
Kathai's thing, telepathy thing?
I'll filter it, but yeah, if you want to talk to me, I'll decide if I want to send it around. Katal feels
say-
pretty like sided in his logic, though.
If I'm killed, I'll tell Umbren that you know all of this. You'll lose your element of surprise.
Yeah, I'll broadcast that.
Rough 20 to hit. I'm going to use favoured by the gods.
20 to hit.
If it's a rough
I'm going to
20,
use favoured
that
by
fails.
the gods.
Oh,
Roll 2d4. Let's get the... Yeah.
2d4. That's 22. That'll hit.
26 to hit.
At the least, that will hit. 26, that will hit, and that will crit. And inflict wounds is a case where crits do work.
I
That is
rolled
3d10 plus 30.
9, so 39 points of necrotic damage.
All right. Kriv,
Ed?
you go right down.
I don't let go. I
Mr.
just
Dusk?
keep pumping necrotic energy into him until basically he melts.
Do I get final words? Or final telepathies?
You do. You do have
Okay.
that final thought.
Spite. It's fully out of spite moment.
Any words in particular, or is it just like overwhelming feeling?
Hold on.
You
I
can't
told
really
you I
speak.
was telepathically communicating with Umbren.
Oh.
As it is, as Kriv's body begins to fall apart, disintegrating, breaking down due to the necrotic energy,
Goodbye, I guess.
one final thought is sent out as the body breaks down into nothing.
Okay, and that's the end.
Kriv is dead.
Seeing this, Xanth takes his weapon and sheathes it. Looks at Javin. Says justice has been served.
Exactly what he deserved. Now, there's one thing we need to deal with. Lord Umbren.
What,
He's
the word of
provided
this
us
fool?
what proof we need to go after him in the Blackstaff Tower. It is word enough.
Javin,
Confirmation. Under a zone of truth
Javin,
spell,
it's obvious
there should be
this
plenty of
man
evidence for
was
us and the Open
confused.
Lord. If the Blackstaff refuses,
Yes.
we can push through.
This is the Dragon King's doing. He even communicated with me telepathically. That is what he does.
Tell me, do you know who the biggest expert in
Probably
the
Lord
city
Umbren.
is on Simulacrum? On the
He's
Simulacrum
the only
spell?
powerful wizard I know of in this city.
Any idea at all? Indeed. He said, of course. Do you know who the most powerful... Do you know what
Yes, the pickaxe.
the Dragon King was wielding when you
Had a
saw
pick and he had a staff,
what he was able to do?
right? Explains all of the things that he's been
A
doing.
staff
How did Lord
would
Umbren
make
get
him a wizard,
these the messages out of the Blackstaff Tower?
which Lord
Do they not
Umbren
have ways to prevent his magic from escaping there? How did he communicate with Kriv?
I admit how he managed to be in the Well of Dragons when others were not, or when while the main body was imprisoned, is a bit unusual. And the fact that the Dragon King kobold simulacrum thing
And the fact that not only
was able
myself
to
but
use so many
your
spell
man
slots
Solaire witnessed
is unusual.
Black Kobold lose the
But,
form
Um,
Lord Umbren whenever he was under attack. We know that that was him. Yes. So I'm really having a
That's
hard
how it
time
was
understanding how you
described.
could say that what
yes,
Kriv just said, unless it just benefits your own designs.
not what it is. Lord Umbren is a sneaky, cunning little bastard. Think about it for a moment. The city is falling into chaos. Both the Order of the Gilded Eye and Jarlaxle are at each other's throats. Meanwhile, sitting in a prison cell as the city burns, under a surprising amount of safety and protection compared to others, is Lord Umbren. As the city burns, he is left out of the conflict.
Can you explain the attempt on
He
his life
is
then,
able to be
Javid?
seen as outside of the two forces battling it out. No, I can't. Aside from forces outside of his control interrupting his plan, which is possible.
Panther's going to
Not
use his
everyone in Zentrum
emissary of peace
liked or
ability
agreed
to
with Lord
allow
Umbren.
him to try
It
to
is very
persuade.
possible someone went off script.
$21. Actually,
All right.
26. I'm sorry, because I get a +5 with that
Roll a
ability.
persuasion check. 21. Oh, 26. As Javin kind of huffs about,
I
he says,
do not believe he is
"You
innocent.
truly
No,
believe
I am sure that in
Lord
his
Umbren is
political
innocent.
scheming that there is
Truly
some
believe
guilt
that.
to be found somewhere. But I do not find him to be the master that Kriv referred to. Kriv was obviously confused. And besides that, we know that a false Hydra also melted his brain, basically screwed with his head. That's what false Hydras do. We got information about that after we killed it. And at that point, he would point to the documents that they received. Did they not make copies of these things? Well, anyways.
We handed that over in Candlekeep.
So he's pointing out that Kriv's head's not right. Doesn't change who's behind this. We know who's behind this. And yes, Kriv was he was the insider. He was the spy. You are right. Now, as then, oh, the King of the Ashes? No.
Lord Umbren would not gain anything destroying the city, would he?
There's more to be uncovered here, but I believe Queria was right. The Gilded Eye leaving the city. Save the rest of your men. Let us deal with whatever this is turning into. At least now we won't have our every move being reported to the enemy.
See. As you wish. I suppose one mad witness will be too difficult of evidence to properly use. Perhaps Lord Umbren is innocent. Perhaps he is guilty.
Janet, I assure you,
myself,
he looks
I
at Solaire,
believe
and
he
Solaire
is
can
guilty of
tell
at
you
least
that I'm telling
working
you the
this
truth.
dragon.
If I find that Lord Umbren is behind this, or in league with the Dragon King in any way, will have no complaints for me in ending the man. I intend to punish every single associate of that Dragon King, of that kobold, whatever he is. They're going to come to their doom. That Xanth actually holds out his hand to
You
shake his
wish.
hand.
As he gets up from his seat. All right.
And I'm sure
And
that would
he
mean
goes
something to
ahead,
him, because Xanth has been pretty
grabs your
adversarial with him all
hand
this time.
and shakes it in response. If nothing else,
I had a feeling.
if nothing else,
Yes, I'm sure that we
have
will run into each other
enjoyed
again in
working.
the future.
Jolt and I hope that after this incident, you
Yes,
understand.
I believe I am starting to
what I'm
understand.
saying. At the very least, you understand why I do what I do. If Lord Umbren is innocent, then he will be free. But just as there are plenty enough in the city that believe that all are innocent until proven guilty, I believe sometimes you must assume
Certainly
guilt
seems to be the case
till
in
they
this
are proven
this poor
innocent
wretch's
in order
case.
to save lives.
Looking at what's left of Kriv's body.
Yes. He sends them on their way. And he pretty much asks his guards to escort the party out
I would.
of the
I'm
Kolat
sure that our
towers.
party would gather up Kriv's things.
If we can just get into that damned sanctum.
And as they're walking out, Xanth would look at Javin and say, "What's to be done with the
Absolutely.
ring?" Either of them.
Silver ring. We will take them both.
Silver
we need
ring.
to present this to the rest
Silver
of the
ring.
Gilded Eye back in
But what about the
Helm's
gold
Hold.
ring? I feel that might have some
Try to make some use of it.
significance with this
Alternatively,
Dragon King. Why don't you leave it with me?
the ring of mind shielding. It is a way to avoid a zone of truth.
Xanth nods.
To avoid telepathic communications. Again, we shall take it back with us. Be on your way. We shall see where this road takes us. As the party leaves
Actually,
Kolat Towers,
we're getting ready to stop. I wanted to stop, like, as we're after we get away
where
from
do they go next?
the guards
What
and the
is their
Gilded Eye
next
and all of
move?
that. Dant's going to turn to Mr. Dusk. He will say, "Know that you probably did not want to do what you did. The fact that you supported me, Valeria, justice, going to go a long way with me. He holds out his hand in friendship.
Do not. I take the hand, but as I do, I say, do not count what tonight was as justice, Xanth.
It wasn't justice for
I
me.
saved you. I saved you a path much darker than you could ever imagine. I am already on that path. I'd much rather absorb the suffering of another.
Perhaps. I
to see
believe
them
that
do the
these
same
cowards,
as I done.
these denizens, these servants of the Dragon King deserve nothing better than what they are given, than what Kriv received. Don't think that that's a dark path. I think that's a righteous path to deliver justice to these cretins, these cowards.
Sprinkle it.
Such as what Zusak said, apparently
Perhaps.
said to
Perhaps.
the people of the Gilded Eye,
Dress it up.
and how
Being
we should
manipulated.
eliminate
Not.
all the elves. Should I be watching my
This is
back?
mine.
You are just as bad as them. And she's gonna spit at his feet and she's gonna walk away.
You are being manipulated, Xanth, by your own emotions and grief. They're all victims
Xanth
to our
looks at
emotions.
Katal, says, "You as well. Thank you for supporting me." Yes.
It is only what needed to happen for the preservation of all of us.
I do not know,
That's why
Mr.
the
Dusk. I
other's
can't
responses
tell you why
confuse
he's
me.
feeling the way he is, other than apparently his own experiences that he's trying to save me from. But Valeria, I think I understand hers.
Dress it up how you want, Xanth. One day you'll see a road paved with blood.
Perhaps.
And it'll be the one you've left behind. That I'll walk away and
Xanth
I'll
is
try
probably
to
going to be
catch
heading
up
back
with
to
Valeria.
the temple, but not to stay. He's going to gather his things and find new lodging. I don't know, probably at an inn or something. Yeah.
Fair enough. Where does he intend to stay?
Actually,
One Portal Inn is the most popular option.
I mean, I know our time is getting short, but I would probably make a stop before going there. We'd probably want to be going to Blackstaff Tower. All
right.
Would you be following Xanth or following the other two?
Fair enough.
Oh,
Yeah, I think just kind of stand there and watch everybody storm off in their different directions, and there's totally like you see the gears and
Xanth
the
would
numbers
probably
just
notice
working
after a
behind
few
his
steps
eyes, like
that
he's trying to
Katal is
figure
just kind
out
of
like
standing
why
there,
it all
so he
panned
would
out
look
this
back
way.
and say, "You're welcome to come with me, Katal."
He kind of nods his head, and sends his owl to follow the others as he takes off after Xanth.
No, he had.
Oh,
Yeah, and he
I
had it on his
assume that
back.
Mr. Dusk still
I
has
assume
Xanth's
shield. Gave
when
it back to
when a
Xanth 'cause he
person with a
scratched it,
shield
didn't he?
is like sitting at a table, he just like puts his shield at his back. Yeah, it's on my back.
Okay.
But the symbol of the symbol of Bahamut that's on it has been
Okay, so
yeah.
you have it again, Zach.
Imagine in
Okay,
you
understood.
guys. Well, anyways, yeah. Anyway,
Is scratched.
yes.
I know what you mean. So, you're heading on to Blackstaff Tower, and by the sounds of it, Catal is joining you.
Yep.
So, guards wave you in.
Well, firstly, I'm going to
Blackstaff greets you.
look at
Question is,
use my
what are you here to do?
is it called holy thing that no yes, divine sense, that's it.
Holy
Sorry.
Your holy symbol? Are you going to use your...
First time
Divine
paladin player
sense.
here. Yeah, I'm just trying to see if she's undead.
Alright. You're going to... Okay. As you use divine sense on Lady Blackstaff,
Would say
you find
he would greet her and he would say,
she is not undead. She is real.
Pardon me for
She is humanoid.
I had to make sure. I don't know if she knows what he just did or not, but just in case she did. Probably is. Thank you.
All right. If I
I'd
assume
like
that
to
whatever
see
it was
Lord
you
Umbren.
cast, it was with good reason. Fair enough. I'll have one of the apprentices lead you to him. As one of the apprentices, a girl named Larisha,
Did you say into his cell or just
is
to his cell?
instructed to lead you into his cell.
Okay. Just checking.
Well, to his cell. Understood. So, as you get there, she opens the door. You see Lord Umbren sort of sitting on, sitting on a bed, reading a certain book. As he looks up to you,
He's just kind of
says,
silently watching him for a moment.
Xanth, what a lovely
Almost
surprise.
kind of hoping
What are
that
you
he
doing
starts
here?
to nervously chatter. He said, "There's been nothing good about today."
He does nothing of the sort.
Arnax has been slain.
What do you mean? Oh, no. As you see him just
Insight check that.
his face in his hands.
Of course I got to roll low for this. 11.
Oh, no. Oh, damn it. Absolutely. 11. As it is, he appears frustrated, angry.
From Catal.
Yep. Same thing for you, Catal. Frustrated, angry, seemingly torn up about the death of Aranax. As he says, I was hoping he'd be able to make it through this.
I was hoping
Wouldn't
you
be
would
able to
be
get
able
him.
to tell us.
What happened? I don't know. As it is, did something happen? Was he attacked? Did the Dragon King
You know that there
fireball
are
him
others
or
in
try
the
to
city
stab
who
him?
believe that you are
I
still
have no idea.
the one behind everything happening.
At this point, I'm not sure
Perhaps
anyone will be able to convince
I can
them.
help you. Getting to the end of this now, I believe. The Gilded Eye wish to secure you themselves. I believe
Right.
I have talked Javin out of it. Not sure. Yes,
Yes,
I don't know for sure. I don't know if he was telling me what I wanted to hear, but it sure seemed as
talked him
if
out of it.
I convinced him that it was not you behind these events. So he and I both agree that you're probably guilty of something, whether it be political scheming or maneuvering, but not of
I see.
what's been happening as of late, not of the murders, not of the situations at hand. So I ask you this question. If you ever want to see the light of day again, if you value your life, you will tell me how to get into the sanctum. This is the key. Yes, your sanctum and call out towers.
Sanctum.
Know about it, but they don't know how to get into it.
All right. Does the Order of the Gilded Eye know about the sanctum? All right. It contains most of my magic items. Most of my highest prized magic items. If getting in there will prove my innocence, and the other plan is just unable to work. No. Shit. Shit. As he's stumbling over his words
Which ring?
again. The ring. That's right. The ring.
Describe the ring.
The ring that it helps you teleport into it.
Zentrum, what does that symbol look like?
A golden ring with the mark of the Zentrum on the top. It's a sigil ring. It looks like
Above
a couple of scales back and forth, like trading scales to measure gold to silver. Where I had last put it, I had left it with what's her name?
Is so this
The
is not
mayor
he's not
of
describing the ring that Kriv had, the golden ring.
Hill's Edge.
Okay. Okay.
No, that is very much a different ring. The ring of mind shielding functioned fundamentally different.
The
from
mayor
ring
of
he's
Hill's
describing.
Edge has the ring that is the key to your sanctum.
Yes. Yes. She was the only one I could trust with it outside of the city. I knew that if it was inside the city, they would have searched relentlessly for it. And
Must be
considering
why the
they were going
Paraghost
after
was there to find
my
her.
people, I knew they were going after my people. It wasn't
How would he have known
safe for
that
them
she
to
had
hold
your
it.
ring?
It must be. It has to be. I'm not entirely sure. He likely had spies waiting to pounce, so to speak.
Yes.
The fact that he came for her almost right after my arrest proves that he was watching what was going on in Waterdeep.
Which plan?
So the other plan, it's not an option? It has failed somehow? Valeria came in here earlier tonight, talking to me about the potential of Jarlaxle being a simulacrum. I told her that there was a way for me to be freed. If
Oh,
she was
yes.
able to do it,
She
I
did
could
mention that.
be released from my charges and be able to
You
help
seemed
you
to think that it
in
was
your
going
mission.
to take some time to secure meeting.
Hardly. As it is, Omendran should be relatively easy to find. As it is, he's mostly been hanging around the Yawning Portal Inn, last I saw him. Mert owns his own place,
Yeah,
his own
so I know
manor,
that
which
I know
I'm
these
sure you could
names. I
find
know these
directions
names.
to. There's also Durnan, who's
Also know that
the
she felt
innkeeper
like
of the
there
Yawning
were
Portal Inn.
some of
There's
them were in the open lord's pocket.
Yes, all the ones that I had described, such as Mert, Durnan, Omen, Lilton, and
Yes.
Dorgar,
And you believe
are
Lilton
all out of his pocket.
will take your side?
All 5 of them. The other 4 are in his pocket, including himself. I believe that if you are able to convince him that having all the other players in the city that are not connected to the Order of the Gilded Eye imprisoned, and that it makes the situation in Waterdeep far
I
less
see.
interesting for him. You have to play to the man's ego in order to convince him.
Found out tonight that there is a betrayer among our group. Yes.
It's
Do you know anything about that?
a traitor. Back when I was in the temple, back when we were in the temple, we had heard about Kriv,
Story.
how he dismissed Darman's story, despite the fact that we all agree that it was true. Right? The story that Darman had been attacked by the Dragon King, who is pretending to be me. Darman described the story, and Kriv blatantly denied it.
So you
despite
think
the
it's
fact that we
Kriv?
know it must be at least. It had to be true. Do you think he could have been the traitor? I'm thinking to myself, who else could it possibly be? Valeria is very much innocent. Darmond was unlikely to have. I doubt that man has a dishonest bone in his body. Samuel and Apollo, as you mentioned, are dead. That man there, Catal, is gone, or was never there in the first place. And I certainly do not believe you could commit any such wrongdoing yourself.
Forgetting someone.
Yes.
Of all the possibilities, Kriv is the only one I can think of. If there was a traitor, now, here's the important thing. We shouldn't jump to conclusions.
I will take it
But
under
if you
advisement.
truly believe that there's a traitor among the
You know
groups,
anything else that could
among
be
the group,
beneficial to
it
us?
is best to tread carefully. If he is I want to believe this, but there's a possibility. As it is, when Kriv was brought to me, he was brought to me by Ziraj the Hunter. That was how I saw him. Apparently he was beaten
Irash
up,
was
but
one of the
beyond
Doom
those
Raiders?
details, Ziraj refused to elaborate. Yes, he's a half-orc archer. I've currently
It's
got
the one
him
who
trying
is now
to
taking
gather
control
intel
of the
on
Zentrum in the city,
Erstal
yes?
Floxen in the Grauchan Manor.
You out of the way so that he could take over for good.
Yes.
One more question.
He was the one behind my assassination attempt.
Tell me about the night that the fighter who supposedly was taken by a ghost or something entered the capital, and what happened that night? I know you were there. The night that one of your Doom Raiders came into the capital.
Could you be more specific? You said the night. Oh, you mean the night? Yes, the night that Tashlin Ylfira was possessed. Of course. As it is, Liam Taskball, my former apprentice at the time, had broken into my towers. He was trying to find dirt on me so that I could be framed for some crime that I did not commit. I only realized until after essentially after chasing him down through the Kolat Towers, that Liam Tuskfall was not himself. He was possessed by the ghost of another Zentarim member. A member who ended up dead as a result of me taking down Manchun. A competitor who did not like me assuming control over the Zentarim.
Pardon me.
When the ghost was banished from Liam's body, he jumped to Tashlin Vera's instead. I was not there to see it, but they told me exactly what happened. As it is, Schemo lunged for the neck to try to forcibly remove the ghost. Ziraj the Hunter shot Schemo down, refusing to harm his friend. Then Tashlin Ylfira fled from the Kolat Towers and ran to the Open Lord. I believe he was trying to perform a ransom or something of the sort. We were able to talk the ghost down, convince it to let go of its hatred, and
There were 3
it
guards
flew
present
away,
that have since been silenced.
disappearing into the night.
Just trying to understand what they could have seen or heard would cause
At
them to be
least-
killed.
I see. Well, I will admit one thing. We believed that he had accepted what had happened, and he had let go of his hatred. But there is the possibility that he
Ghost?
did not. There is the possibility that he's still out there, and I was worried about
Is the
that for the
spirit
first few
of?
days after the incident. Ghost. Now, he is the spirit of a man named Calvin.
Hmm.
Another gnome who was working in the Zentrum around the
See.
same time as myself. He was far more loyal to Manchun than I was. And when I betrayed him to save Waterdeep, Calvin tried to assassinate me. Retaliation. In the attempt, I killed him. I don't know. There is the possibility that if the Dragon King is involved,
There
and he's
does
after
seem
me,
to be some sort
that
of
he's aware of
personal
Calvin
vendetta
the
against
ghost.
you in this, I have to
and
admit.
they're working together.
Have to discover everyone that's working with the Dragon King, and they must all be punished. And can be let to live after this. Cowards, they twist, they scheme, they connive. Letting them live only gives them a chance to do it more. There's no straightforward with them. There's no true north with these people. Yes,
I agree.
I believe
the biggest mistake in my life
he is the one that's behind it all.
was allowing Galrock to live.
All right, I have to rejoin my companions. Thank you for this information, and I will do what I can to help secure your
You may be
release.
right.
Know this: if I find out that you have dealt with me falsely, I'll do everything in my power to bring you down, Umbren.
Of course.
Xanth nods, and you can and you know Umbren would be able to tell that he's not. That wasn't like a threat just
imagine
to be a
nothing
jerk.
less.
Like that's just who he is now.
Right. You can also tell that he sees the shield scratched on your back and simply says, I'm sorry for
So
what
I'm
happened.
assuming that he saw that as he was walking out, so he would kind of turn back to look at him and said,
Hopefully we
"It's
can
my
make it
life's
right."
purpose now. Make sure that it's right. Justice has to be done.
Right.
There will be no help from any deity to make it happen." With that, he walks out. So Xanth would be rejoining. Well, I guess he doesn't really know where Valeria and Mr. Dusk went, but he's going to be going to the House of Wonder, assuming that maybe that's where they went.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Chances are that is where they
So
went.
once Xanth rejoins and sees that
Be
everybody's
following
there,
Miss Valeria.
he would like to speak with Valeria. Or I don't know if we have time to do that or not. Valeria,
Choice
may
is
I speak
yours.
to you, please?
It's 3 hours to 4 hours, so there is technically time.
And he would just kind of
I'm up
lead
for
her
what?
into another room. And he
Sure.
kind of sighs deeply. He looks at her in her eyes, says, "No, must be having a hard time with what I've done. And it's not lost on me. The justice that you were seeking for Solaire is very similar to the justice I dealt out to Kriv. If I Yes, perhaps you
Except
are
that
right.
the justice that I'm looking for
But
is the
you know
top
as well as
dog.
I do,
You just took
we
down
cannot
someone
trust
who
the
we could
Gilded
have probably
Eye,
gotten
and that's
more
who would have
information
him.
from.
Whether we ended his life now, or we took the chance, either the Gilded Eye would bend him to their will, or the Dragon King would reclaim him. Either way, I couldn't take that chance. I apologize to you, as you have been true to me this whole time. If you felt like I was doing the wrong thing. I have trusted Bahamut for a very long time now to provide the justice in this world. But it is clear to me, because he has been silenced, that he's powerless to do so. Either he's powerless to do so, or just doesn't care. I don't know. What I do know is that these cowards, all of these Dragon King's minions, these cretins, deal in falsehoods, they deal in schemes, they deal in simula, whatever those things are. They don't face people straight up. Cowards. Can't let them slip through your fingers, else they'll stab you in the back.
But we can't.
I agree.
We can't go on off murdering just because you got rid of Kriv doesn't mean that there isn't going to be someone else
I'm
that
with you.
weasels in. We need to focus on the top
I'm with you,
dog,
Valeria,
not
and I'm
the
sorry
not
that you
minions.
felt like what I was doing was just vengeance.
Going
It
on a
was vengeance, don't get me
Bloodshed
wrong.
is not going to solve our problem.
But not just for me. For all for Aranax, for Raynar. All of our friends that we've lost along the way, these people are behind it. Kriv was part of that. You know as well as I do that it's not Umbren. It's the Dragon King. I'm with you. We do need to take down the head, but saw what he did to Aranax. We don't have the power to do that right now.
Yes.
But he's the puppet master, right? He uses these others to do his will, to do his work. So if we eliminate them, we weaken him. We get information and we get closer.
Until we
With
find
you.
someone else, and it's just a continuous cycle of
I will
bloodshed.
support you in this bid to free Umbren. I'm not saying I won't.
We get
When we
information
find
that
out
they
that they've
want,
been working
that he
with him,
wants us to know.
we have to eliminate the problem. We can't just let them continue to use him to continue to use these people. He does it. He does it with spells. He does it with magic. He does it with these, speaking to them through their minds, like he did me. Would he have shown me all those things? He's posturing.
Agreed, but I still do not think that if we go hunting down every little minion of it, it's you can't go back down that path, Xanth. That is why myself and I even believe Mr. Dusk, we made sure you didn't get the final blow. Because I still think deep down, as much as there's rage bubbling in you right now, I still believe deep down you believe that people can be redeemed. You're the one that taught me about redemption. I was so
It was
ready
always
to
my
kill
intention
Solaire
to
the
use
very
the men
second
to
I
find
found
out what we could.
But it was you
It
that,
wasn't because
in
I
a way,
felt
convinced me not
that
to.
he
You
was
and Garment.
somehow going to become good after all of this. Needed him. We needed him to find out what they were doing. You could see that already bore fruit tonight, because I know that you were not telling the whole truth in that room. He did not lay any deception that you had bare. And at some point down the road, Valeria, when he is no longer useful, perhaps you can do what you need to do to get your justice. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe I was wrong about people. I don't know. I'm having a hard time understanding any of it right now. What I do know is that we can punish those that are causing these things to happen.
We can punish the Dragon King. That is what I will join in, but I will not
Do you
join
think
in
that
endless bloodshed.
the death of
And I
Kriv proves
promise
that
you
I'm a
this, I
mindless
will
killer? Then
do everything
you
in
and I
my
have a very
power
different
for
understanding
eventually
of what that
becoming a
means.
mindless killer.
What is that?
I believe if you had gotten what your way, it could have led to something much darker.
See. Well, I can't pretend to understand
For you
what
to
you mean
become
by
just
that,
as bad
but
as the Gilded
all
Eye.
I can say is that I'm looking for vengeance upon those that are causing this to happen. I'm not going out and murdering every person that gets in my way. Simply saying that if they work for the Dragon King, they have to go.
As you're speaking, it seems that heavy footsteps begin to move through the halls of the temple. They don't seem to be in heavy armor, but just heavy footsteps from a decently large man. As just sort of from the entrance, you're able to hear a jolly fellow shout out, "Hello there. I am here to hire the assistance
Once
of the
Xanth hears that,
Wandering
he would nod to
Watchers.
Valeria and walk out.
I believe that they take residence here."
Is it? Is it?
I'm already there.
Yeah, he
You
was
do
at the meeting,
recognize
right?
that
He
voice,
was at the
Sam.
meeting. Yeah.
You know who that is. It is Mert the Moneylender.
Huh.
Yes.
Valeria will follow him out. Xanth.
Ah! As he sees the party, or at least sees Mr. Dusk. Are you?
I was already there. I
Catal,
said I headed
joining
as soon
them?
as I heard the footsteps. I would have headed there.
Oh,
So
So
it's like
Catal,
everybody
whenever
else, like,
Xanth
just
came
walking
in,
away
he would
from
have left
him?
you in the room with
they're
Mr.
walking
Dusk as he pulled
if I
Valeria
understand
off to the
correctly, they're
side for a
walking
moment.
towards him.
And then when Mert came walking in, they rejoined the rest of you.
I think Catal will take the moment to have the brief aside with Mr. Dusk before they walk back in, following. It appears I have much to learn. Just like misunderstanding your spell, seems the reason for my support is not even amongst the reasons that everyone else has
I
considered.
understand, Tal. You are a being of logic. Sometimes things are not all down to logic. Emotions play a major part.
This is fascinating, but also sad? Is
That would
that
be the
correct?
correct emotion to have right now. It is indeed a sad night. As the Raven Queen said to me earlier this evening, I gotta get the quote right. Damn it, where is it? Roll up. What was the quote I got from the Raven Queen? When I figured everything out.
The golden sun sets, and the black night begins.
Golden sun sets and the black night begins. That is what I heard when I figured out that Kriv was the traitor. I tried to tell Xanth earlier in the evening, but he is too blinded now at the minute. To the bigger picture, to the bigger things. He's too blinded. So indeed it is a sad night.
As the party rejoins, do they confront
As Xanth
Mert
would
the
step forward.
Moneylender?
Mert, I do remember you.
Apparently asking for the party services.
Met once before, did we not?
Fair enough.
Yes.
Jolt Santh, Arnax's favorite pupil. Yes, I remember you quite well. I want to apologize, by the way. I heard about what
Yes.
happened. A terrible
Blame
thing.
myself.
It should never have happened
Failed to
within the
stop
city
them.
of Waterdeep. Things have gone far too far. Well,
I suppose
If
you
nothing
mean
else,
the Open Lord's intentions.
you may be able to stop something else soon. That is actually not what I had intended. What I meant.
Assassination attempt on whom?
I mean that you have the chance to stop another assassination attempt. And be paid quite handsomely for the job.
Do you suppose we'll be
Well,
trying to assassinate you?
On me, of course! Ah. No, I mean preventing an assassination. You see, earlier today I received
Yes.
quite the surprising letter from quite the unlikely source. I thought for unconventional protection like that, in such an unconventional situation, you were among the best to go to. As he pulls a letter
we're
from
all
his
here.
pocket.
I think we're all here.
And for the record, is it just Xanth here,
We're
or
all here.
is Valeria here?
We're all
Okay.
here.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're all here.
As he pulls a letter from his pocket, you see that the text on it is blood red. Though, despite being a dark blood red, it seems to be more of an ink rather than actual blood. As he reads it out. Varus, you have an admirer. A black kobold, daring to call himself Garok the Dragon King, has marked you for death and asked my bugbears to help with the assassination. Seems he thinks killing you will hand full decision-making power over the Sword Coast to Dagalt Neverember, which he seems to want for some reason. He bragged to me about his part in the murder of Dagalt's son and the process of driving Dagalt mad. He seemed proud of it. The Dragon King told me that if we worked together, we would wipe out you humans. His Arcanic Shahad magic empire would take over Waterdeep, while we goblinoids would have Neverwinter and Luskan. Understand this, human. My people have had very, very bad experiences with mysterious benefactors and outside forces promising to make all our dreams come true. He is a swindler, a con artist, and I will not have my people or yours suffer for this tomfoolery. When the war between us inevitably begins, know that it will be humanity who strikes the first blow. By King Groll before me, that much is certain. Of course, I pretended to agree to his deal, but I will not even allow the first move to be a success. By the time this note reaches you, it will be a day away from the intercept, or from the attempt. Just before midnight, on December 31st, on December 30th, an elite team of white kobolds, protected by my bugbear assassins, 2 of them, will infiltrate your manor to kill you while you sleep. Say the phrase, "Long live the king," and my bugbears will turn on the kobolds. There should be about 7 of the kobolds, led by a bowwoman known as Malronix. Signed, Targor the Blood King. P.S. Consider this an apology for what happened with Brar. He was not under orders to target Corlisthan, but I'm well aware it's extremely difficult for some in my ranks to fight that impulse, especially when
letter.
they feel justified. Make no mistake, even one defying orders is a severe problem, and I am doing all I can to prevent such incidents in the future. And I'll actually put that in the group notes.
So, it would appear the Blood King is not as savvy with the Dragon King as you thought.
Xanth. Well, I was just going to say, Xanth looks at Mr. Desk and says, "Who thought?"
As I think that, or go ahead.
You. Did you not say
Yes, I
about
said that they met.
Oranax about the visions he was sent?
I saw a vision of vast host of goblin kind amassing
Seem as though they truly got
northeast
along.
of the Neverwinter
At least
Forest.
based off of this letter.
I'm assuming that's his group. Yes. I didn't know what was going to happen. I think I assumed that they would attack Neverwinter since it was so
Magmar
close.
Kingdom, without a doubt.
Oh.
It would seem that is not the plan. At least not yet.
We've
Tell
had our
me,
dealings with
do you
him,
know
yes.
anything about this Dragon King by any chance?
Yes, we did. We did run into him, and
I
he would
thought,
give him
after
a
all,
brief
last I
synopsis
saw
of
you,
what
you
happened.
were heading off into a land of dragons and kobolds. Please. Describe to me all in detail. If you would like, we can speak more about this in my manner. And, if the whole of you would be willing, I would like to pay you 400 gold pieces each for helping to protect my life from this assassination attempt.
Is the
After all,
is
if there is a possibility
Catal, is
that
the telepathic link
Ygorl
established
is
at all?
lying, it would be 9 against 1. Good.
So hold on one second. I'm typing something out. I can just say it out loud.
Yes, it's
So
up and
this
going.
is something that Xanth is thinking through this thing to Valeria. Valeria. This seems to be opportunity. What do you think? Yes. Mr. Dusk, what is your opinion?
I think we should do it. It might lend him to join our favor.
I believe we should protect this gentleman from this attempt. If anything, it may, like
Plan to
Valeria
free Lord
said,
Umbren? Yes.
may give us a vast ally in Valeria's plan.
Mm-hmm.
Tall.
Also, if
That's
not,
what logic dictates here.
gain someone who is an ally for us anyways.
I think we need to have more allies on our side.
Xanth
and
nods his
freeing
head
Umbren would
and says,
reveal
"We
whether
accept,"
he's truly
and holds
an
out his hand
ally
to
or not.
Mert.
That's probably our best move.
So when Mert's looking at us, we're all like kind of making eyes at each other, looking
As
back and
he
forth.
grabs a hold of it, shakes your hand.
Like,
Excellent.
right, yeah.
I mean, technically I'm
Don't
not, because I've got my
anybody with
mask
your eyes
on,
there,
so
Mr.
you don't know if
Yeah.
I'm making eyes at you or not.
And that was freaking epic.
And with that,
That was so awesome.
I think that is where we will leave it for tonight.
I was having